born from light before there even was a dawn. So pure, so bright, falling from the skies above into our darkened fate. The time has come, walking through this world we bear the secret of our lives. The light we share, caught in destiny we shine, for we are meant to be the star guardians. Gone in a flash before our time, up in the skies together. The vow we have
欢迎船员增建。
发动机数据一切正常。
OK。
航线已确认，目标已锁定。
出发。
这就是我结束时间，在前面看你们的了。
能量已耗尽，请尽快启动备用电源。
女士骑士，
前任船长怎么会设计这样的解锁密码？这是要你干嘛？
哦，我知道了，是8只骑士。
可是还差一边呢。
那就剩下这几个了。船里的大哥有口盯着他，不管他是有什么破的，这几个到底是什么？我觉得像船长，这没法确定的，船长。你觉得是？
让我们求助一下老朋友吧。
欢迎来到云顶之弈银河战争直播节目《云顶饭堂》，我是今天的主持人西普。
阿巴做法，他原计划玩得出神入化，我愿意称他为原计划的神。有普通玩家觉得原计划不强，但其实
星海飞船求救，星海飞船求救。
我们遇到了特别情况，引擎失效，急需救助。
这有3张卡片，看起来需要推断出第4张，你们能解出来吗？
这不简单了，诺克萨斯统领、地狱火阿木姆、龙王，这3张牌分别对应了云顶 S1 到 S3 最长的3张5倍卡，就像船长3环一样。答案就是太空海盗船长。
好，那就太空海盗船长。
是不是我们想的太复杂了？这一看轮廓就是神权理清啊！
可是云顶之弈3个赛季都没有神权理清啊。
算了，不管了，已经没有时间了。
那就神权理清吧。空间跳跃准备，3、2、1。
E aí, galera, vocês quase perderam o jogo.
也许会迟到，但绝不会缺席。
For the first time in the history of the universe, the best players in the world will be recognized with a global event to determine who is the Teamfight Tactics Galaxies Champion. Throughout the Galaxies set, players have showcased their amazing skill in competitive regional events. They fought for pride, prizes, and the chance to qualify for regional finals. From those epic battles, 16 talented finalists emerged, ready to compete remotely for the title of Galaxies Champion. The championship will split the 16 competitors into 2 lobbies. Each lobby will play 5 games, with players earning points based on their finish in each game. The 4 finishers with the most points from each lobby will move on to Day 2 and the finals. The format changes up in the finals, with competitors racing to accumulate 18 points. Once a tactician secures 18 points, their next win will earn them the Teamfight Tactics Galaxies Champion crown and their portion of the $200,000 prize pool. As we say farewell to the Galaxies set, Day 3 of the event will introduce a brand new set, Fates. The top 8 from the Galaxies Championship will debut the new set, alongside personalities from the League of Legends community. The dedication and passion of the Teamfight Tactics community is what has made TFT Esports a reality. We look forward to growing Teamfight Tactics together.
We were born from light before the evening was a dawn, so pure, so bright, falling from the skies above into our darkened fate. The time has come, walking through this world we bear the secret of our lives, the light we share, caught in destiny we shine, for we are meant to be the star guardians, gone in a flash before our time, up in the skies together, the vow we have made has kept us strong, don't fade away, it's time to shine, burning bright, as we reach out for the same horizon, burning brighter, we're running out of time, we're chasing the light. Gone in a flash before our time, up in the skies together, the vow we have made has kept us strong, don't fade away, it's time to shine, burning bright, as we reach out for the same horizon, burning brighter, piercing through the dark, we've been on and on and on. The thought of us stuck in my mind. I long for the days when we were young. The sound in my heart, the light in your eyes. But now I drown in tears, I cry, yelling your name into the rain. Don't push me away, let's head for the sky. Gone in a flash before our time, up in the skies together. The vow we have made has kept us strong. Don't fade away, it's time to shine, burning bright, as we reach out for the same horizon, burning brighter, we're running out of time, we're chasing the light, burning bright, as we reach out for the same horizon, burning brighter, piercing through the dark, we've been on and on and on.
In space, everything is infinite. Innumerable galaxies. No beginning, no end. An unquantifiable, expansive expanse.
Não dá para quantificar o inquantificável.
Tell us more.
But one day, the galaxies began to collide. Time and space became limited. Competition, a fight for survival, took shape. And the galaxies demanded the champion.
This totally makes sense.
Wait, she gets to do the whisper thing too?
Por que a gente tá sussurrando?
宇宙里哪来的声音？
For months, the Earth's greatest tacticians battled it out across the globe, transcending both time and space.
That doesn't sound physically possible.
Eles acabaram de competir em classificatórios online e regionais.
我怀疑他不懂天体物理，他单纯在整活儿。
To prove themselves worthy of competing in the ultimate competition of competitive competitors.
Okay, that is just lazy adjective use.
Alguma parte disso faz mais sentido em inglês?
我是来帮大家了解云顶之弈银河战争总决赛的。
You guys, that's what I'm doing. But anybody can say, hey, the first ever TFT global event is finally happening September 3rd and the 4th, where 16 of the world's greatest tacticians will be battling it out for their piece of the $200,000 prize pool. But I'm trying to have fun with it. Sick.
Welcome to Day 2 of the Teamfight Tactics Galaxy Championship. After a third set complete with adventure and wonder, it's finally time to send it off with a big bang, crowning a champion in the process. I'm Gabriella La Tigris Devia Allen, your host for today, with a plethora of experts on the way. Yesterday, we whittled down our final 16 to the final 8. But the journey for the Galaxy Championship started long before that. Luckily for us, we got some words from the people that have made TFT esports possible. Let's have a listen.
I'm TJ. I'm the lead producer on Teamfight Tactics.
Hi, I'm Waylon Roselle. I'm the Senior Director of Esports at Riot Games.
When we were first making TFT, esports wasn't actually top of mind. But once we saw the players' passion and demand, that passion is kind of what sparked us knowing that esports was the right next move.
We knew last year that we weren't ready for global competition, but we knew that the demand was growing. Invitational sort of gave us an outlet to create a more controlled environment that allowed us to test things like competitive formats and broadcast formats. The positive reaction to the Invitational really gave us confidence as we were planning out our competitive ecosystem. We believe that TFT is a game that is played and enjoyed all over the world, and we thought that the esports should reflect that. And that's why the TFT Galaxies Championship has representation from players who've competed from all these different regions and are coming together to vie for the crown.
And because we refresh the set every 6 months, we wanted that to be the staple of who is the best player this set. Because each set brings different mechanics and requires different skills to kind of prove if you are the best. So we wanted to kind of put a stamp on, hey, for Galaxies, this was the best player.
The best part of seeing esports during Galaxies was just seeing all the different tournament organizers across the globe in many different regions. I'd say that the biggest learning is that we have this wonderful community of competitive TFT fans, whether they're tournament organizers or pros or fans, and we can do a better job of integrating their efforts into sanctioned competition of TFT going forward.
One of the major key learnings throughout TFT set development is that we actually need to invest in tools that make the esports experience better for viewers, for third-party developers, and for us.
Our dream is to have really, really large TFT tournaments where people of all skill levels can enter and compete, and that's only going to happen when we provide the tooling to tournament organizers to run large events.
Now that we know that this is something that we want to invest in long-term, we'll be putting in the effort to make the experience of TFT esports and everyone watching a much, much better experience.
The best part of Galaxy's competitive was just seeing the various regional leagues, the tournament organizers in those regions, and how they approach competitive TFT. One of the things that we heard loud and clear prior to Galaxies was they wanted higher stakes and an opportunity to showcase their skills on the biggest stages.
The latter is a way for you to kind of get qualified for TFT tournaments and TFT qualifiers to then make your way up to the World Finals so that anyone and everyone has an option to be the best player for TFT.
The Galaxies Championship was created for just that purpose, and to give incentives and rewards for people to dedicate their time to competitive TFT, to give them a goal. And we think that it provided the community with a reason to fight for their place on the ladder, to push themselves, to learn all the sets, and to really keep their skills sharp. I think crowning the first region as TFT champion will be exciting, and giving a chance to see the best of the best compete. It's just one of these things with competition where those who got here through skill and hard work and determination, and seeing that pay off and taking home a title is something that I'm looking forward to seeing in TFT. I think that's the beauty of TFT, is competitive, it's strategic, but it's also a super fun experience, and I think it's able to bring a whole new generation and a new type of fan. Esports is accessible to everyone around the world, ideally.
Waylon mentions that passion, and that passion is ever abundantly present among the peeps that we've got on today's show. As your casters, we have Doa, Becca, and Krohn, with Primal joining us later on in the broadcast. Doa, I know time feels like it moves a little differently in 2020. Can you believe we're actually finally at the championship day?
I mean, it's kind of crazy, right? Because it feels like this set just came out. It kind of feels like it just came out, but it feels like it's been out for a long time as well. But I really love this 6-month system that they've got in mind, where you have a lot of time to kind of like digest and analyze the set, but there's this like big revamp during the middle. I think that's a really good way to approach the game, so I hope it continues with that. But yeah, it's amazing. We're here already. It's the first TFT championship, essentially, that's on a global scale, and so I'm really curious to see who takes it.
The very nature of the way TFT evolves always keeps you on your toes. I feel like that's how we felt throughout the entirety of the day. Becca and Krohn, I'm excited to be getting some words from you in a moment, but there's somebody else that we do have to introduce, and it's our analyst for the day. We do have Mort Dog, a staple for anyone familiar within the TFT scene. Hey, as somebody that is so close to TFT, both as a dev, creating content, watching the esports scene develop, what does it mean to you to finally see it all come through into reality?
It means a lot. We've been trying to get the game to be something that players enjoy and get the competitive scene going, and seeing the skill level that was expressed yesterday really shows that TFT can be a really fun, in-depth game and really cool competition to watch. So it really means a lot to me and the whole team.
Now, one of my favorite parts personally is getting to hear the dev perspective and breaking down these segments. So we'll get to hear from you later on throughout the broadcast as the games go down. But since this is the last time we'll hear from you before that happens, I'll give you a chance to kind of start thinking about who your predictions are going to be. Make sure you're sharing those in the Twitch chat more, because I'm sure everyone is excited to find out. But Becca, I know North America didn't make it through. You may be a bit upset about that. We're going to get some of those highlights on our screen in a moment, but you got some sleep in. Yeah, you got a little bit of a refresh. Are you feeling energized going in knowing there won't be any North America today?
Yeah, I mean, at least I won't be super biased today, so at least it'll be a more fair cast.
But I think there's so much to look forward to with what everyone's brought to the table. Krohn, are there any surprises that really stood out to you? I mean, Volterix, we see here, I think everyone expected to do well.
Oh yeah, I think, right as we see here on our screen, Volterix displayed such prowess yesterday in his TFT skill. All of Europe really did, actually, all three of them qualifying for the top 8. I'm excited to see what Europe and China can bring to the table today, because there's just so much good skill between the two regions there.
Yeah, I think the 8 players that we had make it through to day number 2 really were the players that played the best yesterday, and that's encouraging to see, and I think it's really tough to predict. I mean, EU has the greatest representation, right? But you've got so many good players from other regions, of course. 2 out of the 3 Chinese players made it through. The player from Japan, Shoemaker, looks really good. The player from Korea, Bobe, looks really good. I could list them all, but I was impressed by them all in different ways each time.
I think that was the interesting thing with everybody that came through to the top 16 being strong competitors individually. We really didn't know what to expect as far as the shakeup, but there were definitely some players that really stood out on top when it comes to consistently getting those top 4 placing in the lobby, in some cases even getting multiple wins back to back. But there is a lot that they're going to be fighting for today. Obviously, yesterday we had 10 straight games. That was concrete, 5 per each lobby. But today, things rankings will be operating a bit differently. So if you need a refresher, we do have that readily available for you right now, because the top 8 players that will be competing will not necessarily have a set number of games. You first have to try to accumulate 18 plus points to put yourself in a position to grab a number 1 spot for that championship title. So it could be as short as 3 games. It could be as long as who the heck knows. It's all up to the players that we see today to determine exactly what we're in for. But it is excitement nonetheless. So once you get those points, you can secure that number 1 spot and officially grab the largest slice of that prize pool. $40,000 going to the number 1 finisher. A total of $200,000 that will be dispersed among all of the participants. Even if you didn't make top 8 here today and you just competed yesterday, you'll still be walking away with some kind of money in your pocket, which is nothing to scoff at. But I think more than anything else, the players are excited to have those bragging rights, being a part of the first official championship, the Galaxy Championship at that, and a crown to go with it. I know that I am super stoked. You'll be hearing from me throughout the rest of the day. You'll also be hearing from Primal, who will be joining later, and then Mort Dog that will be popping in with his analysis. But Doa and Becca, you're going to be the first 2 casting up on game number 1. I bet you are excited, ain't that right, Doa?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's few things in life I enjoy more than casting a game of TFT, so I'm excited to just jump into it, see what Galaxy we get, see what the players do. I mentioned yesterday, and I think it's worth mentioning again, that the meta is in a really good place. We have a very wide variety of compositions that the players can use, and so it should be fun. Becca, I'm going to ask you right now, though. I'm going to put you on the spot. Who do you think is going to win it?
Okay, who do I think is going to win it, or who am I rooting for?
No, not who you're rooting for. You have to be an analyst here. And just
right.
Pure brain, no heart. Who do you think's going to take it?
Well, I think Volterix is going to win, but I'm going to root for Korea, Brazil, or Japan.
All right.
That's who I'm rooting for.
So the brain versus the heart. I understand that. Okay.
Yeah, you're all laying it out.
Indeed. So before we get into the game, I think we need to kind of get to know some of our top 8 players a little bit better. And Avali had a chat with all of them, virtually, of course, but it was still interesting. Let's take a look.
Avali here with some of the TFT Galaxies Championship pros in person on a laptop. So tell me, who are you? Where are you from?
제 닉네임은 지보베이며 전라남도 고시에 거주하고 있습니다.
日本出身のシューメーカーです。
Je suis Eric Cacho et j'habite à Toulouse en France.
我游戏的 ID 叫卷子，然后我是陕西西安的人。
meu nick é Slooper e eu sou de Teresina, Piauí, no Brasil.
游戏名称是云顶最强阿法狗，我是江西人。
Congratulations on qualifying for the first ever TFT Global Finals. How does it feel to have made it?
とにかく楽しみたいと思います。
사실 많은 선수들을 대표로 국제대회에 나가는 게 부담스럽기도 하지만 되게 재밌는 것 같아요.
非常激动，非常开心，真的就是经过了这么多的鏖战，包括这么多的一层层选拔，从平台赛，包括到后来的一个全国赛，到现在全球赛，能终于夺冠，真的是心情非常非常激动，已经不知道该说什么了。现在。
Eu tô muito animado de ter conseguido chegar na final e a expectativa agora é jogar para ser campeão mundial de TFT. Eu acho que
心情是非常愉悦的，就是对，是非常愉悦的。
Who do you think is going to be your toughest competition?
卷子吧。
한국은 예전부터 e스포츠 강국이었고 그런 믿음을 지니신 분들의 믿음을 이어갈 수 있게 좋은 결과로 보여드리고 싶습니다.
Je pense que mon adversaire le plus rude pour moi sera Dobel 61.
阿法狗，如果我们这一组的话，应该是阿法狗。你让我说，我肯定觉得我们中国赛区肯定是最强的。
And what would becoming the first ever TFT Global Champion really mean for you?
证明自己吧，证明自己作为一个大龄人，也能很好的把电竞玩透玩熟。
Ganhar o primeiro mundial de TFT seria a realização de um sonho, seria poder coroar tudo que a gente fez durante esse primeiro ano de jogo e eu sinto que a gente tá bem preparado, eu tô muito confiante para poder jogar esse primeiro mundial e quero poder trazer essa alegria para os meus amigos, para os meus fãs e poder ser o primeiro campeão mundial de TFT.
还是很开心、很激动吧，而且就是觉得不光是撸啊撸，包括云顶地、下棋，我们中国赛区都可以证明是非常强的一个选手，非常强力的。
제가 만약 우승하게 되면은 TFT라는 게임 역사에 남게 되는 거잖아요. 또 제 인생을 뒤바뀌어버릴 사건이 될 것 같아요.
もし優勝したら私個人というよりも日本というリージョン全体が注目されると思ってます。
Thank you so much for joining us, and back to you.
All right, well, there you have it. A lot of words from a lot of great players in TFT and a lot of excitement. Everybody wants to be the champion, right? But here are our top 8, Becca. Now, you mentioned that you thought that Volterius was going to take it all. Is there anyone else on this list you could say? Who'd your second choice be?
Well, honestly, I think a lot of the people that didn't get too much attention played really well, because usually if you're in that like 3rd to 4th spot, you're usually playing from behind, right? And trying to make the best choices as you go. So I think people like Shoemaker and Slooper, who had such consistent scores throughout, are also like kind of hidden wild cards, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, actually. And those players are the type of players that can pop off. You know, if you look at a player like Shoemaker as well, stayed in the top 4 relatively, did get that number 1. And that's what it's going to take, right? You can be like, you know, a 3rd, 4th player. You can be in that top 4 for a couple games and then get that first place later. Because remember, if you get first place in game 1 and 2, you get a lot of points. You get closer to that 18-point threshold faster, but you can't actually win with that number 1. You have to get another number 1 later on. So at some point you need to get it first. And so being consistent early, keeping yourself tight with the pack, you know, will help a lot with that. In the last tournament that we had that had a format like this, I believe it took 5 games to crown a champion. And at that point, basically like, and that was Obo that we saw yesterday from Australia. But at that point, there were like, I think most of the people in the lobby, I think like 6 out of the 8 were qualified to possibly win with a first. So it's going to get really exciting. This is a really fun format to watch. I'm pretty pumped.
Do you think that it's going to be as close as it was in the NAOC qualifier, or do you think it'll be more of a runaway in this tournament?
It's hard to say, right? Because you had Zhuangzi from China yesterday getting 3 first places in a row. But like that's the type of performance I don't think you can repeat. And I will say I thought personally the level of play in Group A was a little bit better than the level of play in Group B overall. Just noticed more like little mistakes as far as positioning, maybe slamming an item a little bit before, you know, you should have slammed something else. So just little things here and there that make me think the players from Group A have a little bit of an edge. But we'll see. What do you think? Which group impressed you more yesterday as we kind of go into game number 1 here?
So I was perusing Twitch chat, and someone said,
no.
I'm not sure, it was Twitch chat, but someone in Twitch chat said that Volt was interviewed and said that his lobby was easier than US Challenger games. So I like the healthy amount of trash talk between each region. Like in the intro video, we could see that each region thought that their region was the best.
Naturally,
so, yeah, I'm excited to see who's actually going to be right at the end of this tournament.
Well, we'll find out. We're going to start out with Volterius on his board. We're, of course, in Plunder Planet, and in case you're not familiar with that, what that means is that the first enemy champion that you kill every lobby has a really high chance of dropping a gold for you, and then ones after that still have a chance, but a lesser one. So basically what that amounts to is if you're winning, you're going to be making more gold. That's going to kind of accelerate the gameplay. So this is a lobby where you can kind of see players play a little bit more aggressively because win streaking is more important here. But we'll see how people handle it. I feel like this is a lobby where you can, get way behind the rest of the pack, or you can just get way ahead depending on your early results,
Yeah. Also, I feel like a lot of people kind of sleep on the early game, but it's always interesting to see which item each player goes for on the carousel. So Volt went for the tier, and you're just wondering, is he going to go for the blue buff into one of those more flexible comps? Here we have Lev with the Zaya and the glove, and 4 Zayas already.
All right.
Oh, actually 5. Do you see it? There's another one in the shop.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, he has a good shredder start.
Yeah, exactly. So that might be, that's pretty much what you want. All right, the rod is not as good, but still, pretty decent start either way. You can throw the rod on Jarvan or something. But We should probably introduce all of our players here. Lev D comes to us from the EU region. Of course, I believe he's from Denmark. He went 7-3-3-4-3 yesterday, so very consistent results, and that'll keep you in the running, but you need to get a first at some point. So I think that's going to be his challenge, is, you know, finding that first place. Yep.
Yep. So, I mean, with a 5 Zaya start, do you think you're just being baited into it if you don't happen to get some more AD items?
Absolutely. Okay, yep, now it's starting to feel like that. Although I will say, so you could go another Zaya 2 and like put a static Shiv on her if you get a bow. That's pretty good, but I don't know. Would you still think about playing this out? Because here's the thing. You can rely on the Zaya 2 early on, that's fine, and then still build towards like Cybernetics or something, which is something that Lev D played 3 out of his 5 games yesterday, actually, so wouldn't be surprised.
Really? Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like with these items he's going to be going the Zaya carry comp.
Probably not.
He also had a lot of Cybers in his shop, and here we're seeing Double 61, the youngest player in the tournament.
Yeah, supposedly he is 16 years old. He's competing, and you know, we've seen champions as we see him go up against Looper from Brazil for his first PvP round. But we've seen a lot of young champions in esports in the past. Faker, the famous League of Legends player from Korea, won his first championship at 15, and other players have won championships at that age as well. So hey, you know, it's a time in your life when you've maybe got the time to be good at games. So why not? He's certainly talented.
Yeah. So he starts with the Vanguards and the Caitlyn, and he's against Slooper, who looked like he was playing Brawler Battlecast. Just early synergies.
Yeah, looking at his bench, that looks likely.
Yeah. Okay.
And we're going to jump over to Slooper as we go through all of our players here in game number 1, just to kind of refresh your memory with who we've got in the top 8. Slooper comes to us from Brazil. He ended up going 6-3-3-2-3 yesterday, so pretty solid day of results again. He played a lot of Star Guardian Sorcerer builds, played that 3 out of his 5 games. So we'll see what he's got in mind for this time.
Yeah, I really respect Doa. Actually, Doa went ahead and put together a list of every comp that each player played for the crew, and I just wanted to shout him out because I think it helps a lot with keeping track of what the players like to play.
Oh, thanks. I do it for every tournament.
Yeah,
I like to see what they play.
That Slooper played a different comp every game.
Well, I was talking about Shoemaker with that when we were chatting a little bit earlier. And I guess technically he he didn't, but he had like a fast 8 that was sort of like a half chrono, half cyber thing. So he was probably going to play cybers that game. So I guess that would have been 2 cyber games for Shoemaker, but still he seemed the most diverse out of our players as far as compositions go. But Slooper, I think all of these players have a chance to take it, frankly. And it would be cool to see a player from Brazil take it too, because of that country's huge history in League of Legends, a lot of talented players coming from there, and it's just a big esports country, and I've always wanted a chance to go there. So hopefully they will continue to grow in esports, and I'll have my opportunity at some point. Yeah,
I feel like the Brazilian community is so united and so passionate. Every time you see any Brazilian player in a tournament, you'll see like amazing support coming out from the fans. Also, we see Lev with 6 Zayas already.
Yeah, he's going for it.
2 Zaya 2s in.
All right. I mean, you can definitely do it. It's like the game is kind of pushing you that direction, right? But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it works out. We've got Bobe on the screen right now. Got the Graves 2 early, which is kind of nice. Able to use that blind to take on the Zaya. But Bobe is our representative from South Korea. The weight of the world's greatest esports region rests on his shoulders. And he knows it, right? He was saying he wants to leave like the next step in the legacy for Korean esports. He had an up and down day yesterday. He went 6-1-4-1-8 and played a good amount of different comps. But what stood out to me is that he actually played 2 Battlecast reroll comps yesterday, which was interesting. And he went 4th and he went 8th in those 2 games. So I wouldn't recommend it, but we might see more of that from him today.
Yeah, I'm curious to know if Battlecast is actually that popular in Korea, because I think we also saw Panda play it and go for the Battlecast, or if they just happen to roll a lot of Battlecast units early.
I always feel like a little bit scared when the game is trying to get me to go Battlecast. I'm like, I know you're giving me a lot of Kog'Maws, but I just I never have good results with that build. I don't know. I think it's cool, but I always do bad.
You think it's cool? You always do bad with it.
I wish I did better. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
I like the build, but the build doesn't like me, I guess.
Yeah, I felt the same way about the
Yeah.
build. I felt the same way.
So this is Shoemaker from Japan, of course. Really cool to see Japan get some representation in this tournament because they're obviously like one of the biggest, if not like the original video game nation, right? But it just hasn't been as big in the PC gaming culture as far as the games that we've seen in North America anyway. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff in Asia that they'll play that doesn't quite make it over to North America, but they're mostly known, of course, for fighting games, right? And for console-based things. So it's neat to see games like Valorant, TFT getting really big in Japan. Shoemaker played really well yesterday. 2-6, 1-8, 2 was his 5-game score lines, and played a little bit of everything, honestly.
Yeah, but that's actually the kind of scoreline you need to win, right? Some really good games.
Definitely.
So I think a lot of people were wondering why some of the Asian players have masks on, and I think we were told that a lot of the Asian players are in like the Riot Games studios.
Right.
So that would explain why they have masks on. They are not at home.
It's for the safety of others. That's right. Not wearing a mask in his very, very barren living room. Apparently, no, he's actually in an office. I would imagine his bedroom where his computer actually has like a bunch of cool stuff there, not just a blank white wall.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, moving on. Let's talk about. Wait, who is this? Let me see who's board. I don't recognize the faces of all the players yet. I'm sorry. I've only had one day of experience with them. It's going to be AlphaGo, of course. Yep, that's right. And so AlphaGo yesterday, he's one of the players that I thought did well, but he always seemed like one step behind Zhuangzi. He went 2-8-2-3-1. So he did get a first. And honestly, that score line would win it for you, right? Because he would have hit that 18 points and he would have gotten a first. So definitely a threat.
I think he actually ended up going first in his lobby. Am I wrong?
I think he did, yeah.
points?
He did end up going first in his lobby, but it just seemed like individual game by game. At least the games that Zhuangzi tried in, he was always like a little bit ahead of AlphaGo, it seemed like. Yeah, Zhuangzi's
that was a pretty
case.
legendary moment when Zhuangzi just obviously did not try anymore after the third game.
And here he is on our screen right now. We'll watch Zhuangzi for a while here. He is another one of our players from China. And he won 3 games in a row yesterday. And then he got 2 8s in a row. And it seemed like after he got all 3 wins, he was like, all right, I'm just going to go on cruise control. I'm just going to take it easy. He kind of, casually rolled a couple Space Pirates in games 4 and 5 and got 8 both times. But he did also get first with Space Pirates in one of his games, too. So I think he just wanted to conceal his true strength for the last couple games.
Yeah, if you were in a tournament like this, would you... I guess you would want to hide any comp that you're really comfortable with as much as you can, just so that people don't know your range. But at the same time, I'm not sure how much other people will take that to heart, like what comp you're playing.
Yeah, I don't know. It was interesting. I've never really seen a player do that before, but we'll see. I'm really wondering right now about the Fizz in his shop. He did play 2 mech games yesterday. But I believe, I was trying to remember, he's got Protector's Sorcerers going on right now. So it looks like he's already got a pretty strong line to follow with this. Good items, too.
So I thought he was going to make the Ionic Spark first. But I guess the Gunblade is better for streaking, especially on Plunder Planet, when you want to make sure you're getting as many kills as you can.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think in Plunder Planet, you always have to try to prioritize winning above all else. So whatever you can do to make that happen. And new Hex Tech is really good with Ari and like Cinder and stuff like that. So no shock there.
I think Zhuangzi's already at 40 gold. He's at 50 gold. Okay, he is so rich.
Yep.
Whenever you play this Galaxy and you start low rolling, I feel like it's really devastating because you can't really lose streak and keep up with other people because they're just so much stronger than you. With their win streaks.
Yeah, it does get really tough. And, you have some players sometimes where, they'll be able to keep up because they do kill a champion or two, even if they do lose. But if you're winning, you just have so many more chances to roll that gold that, it can get a little bit lopsided here. What do you think about Voltairix and his Blitzcrank 2 and Blitzcrank 1 on the board here?
I think he just plays his strongest board, and he's probably just thinking that displacement is gonna like account for any fodder units they have in the corner. So if there's 2, it's really likely you catch a carry. Also, if you look at Chauncey's shop, he has the Rumble and the Annie, and he had the Fizz last shop. Yeah, I wonder if these players even give it a second thought. Because I know I do. I have like
me
regrets.
too, all the time. Yeah. I'm like, I knew I should have bought that Fizz. Like, the game just does that to you sometimes. You're like, oh, fine, you don't... I was nice, and I gave you an early forecast that's really useful. Fine, you don't want to use it? Well, here's the other stuff that would have made it awesome. There, how do you feel now? That's what TFT does to you sometimes, I think.
Makes you live in the past. But I feel like these better players probably don't think about it too much.
Yeah, I have a very love-hate relationship with TFT, or maybe the game has a love-hate relationship with me too. Is when it comes to shops, it's all love with everything else. When it comes to shops, I don't know. So
Lev
Levdi
is
right
one
now,
away. Yeah.
Yeah, really close to that Xayah 3, and I wonder if he's gonna roll a little bit here to try to complete that. He is 5, so he's a little bit outside the range to really get a lot of those 1 costs, but it's still a 40% chance. So. You've still got a pretty good shot.
Yeah, was he close to any of the other 3-star units?
Sort of. Yeah, not super close. Like, if I'm 1 away, I'd probably roll for it. But like, if you look at the other stuff, Jarvan's, he's still a ways away. Shen's, he's still a ways away. Fiora doesn't really matter that much. So I don't think this is a situation where you hyper roll it. But would you just like slow roll through 5 with this? That's kind of what I'd be tempted to go for.
Yeah, I think you just keep slow rolling, at least until you hit Xayah, and I think that's where you have to make the decision on whether or not you're going to roll for more. But I would assume since he is so far, he would just start leveling. What would you do? I'm genuinely not sure.
I would give it
I'm not sure
like,
if it's strong enough.
You know, honestly, I don't like this build very much personally. I just don't enjoy playing it, so I don't have as much experience with it. But it does kind of feel like it's a time. There you go. Now I think you can level. Because you've got the Xayah 3, right? So that should sustain you for a while. So yeah, and you can see him throwing a little bit of gold into leveling. Still staying above 50, but yeah, he will actually go up to 6. Okay, yeah, I thought so. That does seem like the time to level when you hit that Xayah 3. That actually worked out really well for him.
Yeah, he did lose a lot of HP. He's already at 62 health. But with the 2 Shens on the board, I think now he has a strong enough front line for Xayah to crank through these units. Yeah. Oh, 2 Shens.
WTF 2 Shens. Oh my gosh, I haven't said that in a while.
Wait, we're showing our age, our esports age.
Wait, our age? What? That was my broadcast that started on.
Exactly.
What are you implying here? Don't make me bring back the Shen cosplay. All right, well, there's another Jarvan. Lev D is just kind of naturaling a lot of this stuff. So it looks like things are on track for him to maybe start win streaky a bit more. So we're going to move over to our top player in the lobby right now, which is maybe to the surprise of no one, Voltairix. Again, he does tend to trend towards Rebels a little bit. He played Rebels 2 games yesterday, games 2 and 5. He does enjoy this comp, it seems like. And he's doing really well with it. But it seems like Rebels, if you hit pretty early, is one of those comps that you can kind of win streak through the early and mid game with, huh?
Yeah, especially with the Ludens on Ziggs. I know Grand Vice 8, an NA player, really advocates building the early Ludens on Ziggs to win streak. Especially, I mean, and if you're trying to win streak, this is the best Galaxy to do it on.
Oh, definitely. So on track to keep this going. And remember, he was running those 2 Blitzcranks earlier as well. So the really fun thing about watching Voltairix, I think, that we were talking about yesterday too, is that he just seems exceptionally good at playing best board. And like, best board is like a term you hear all the time from every player in a lot of situations. Like, oh, you just want to play your best board. But like, Voltairix is one of the few players I think that really has mastered that concept in TFT, where he'll find like, he'll really min-max it to a level that I see very few players do.
I completely agree. I think it's something that a lot of players should aspire towards. Being able to actually understand what's the best board to play is a much harder skill than people would think.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not just it's not just playing the synergies. It's not just playing the upgraded units. Yeah.
Well, it's a lot of positioning things. It's a lot of can I maybe build an item that feels a little bit unorthodox, but if I really want a win streak, I build it right now. All that kind of stuff. And he's going to go really fast 8 at 4-1. Okay. That's really quick.
Yeah.
But he did this yesterday, too. Yeah.
4-1, level 8, 20 gold. So I guess he just wants the double Ludens. He wants to keep his streak going.
Yeah. Well, he's
Ooh,
probably
the
building
item
towards
slams.
that Aurelian Soul later, too. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Just slamming everything. I mean, he's got... so it looks like the Blitzcrank you would replace with a Gangplank later on if you could, or possibly a Rumble if he comes across that. And then the Ziggs you'd have to imagine is probably going to become an Aurelian Soul at some point, right?
When I'm playing Rebels, I tend to always go with the Gnar if I am playing a Brawler over the Blitzcrank, but you are losing the Chrono buff. And I'm curious to see if Voltairix would switch it out with the Gnar, because I just really like the CC that it gives and like the displacement for the backline.
Yeah, it's a really good question, because, and especially then the other thought is like Gnar 1, is that worth it over Blitzcrank 2? I would guess probably not, but yeah, not Gnar 1, so you'd have to wait until you find a Gnar 2, so then you're kind of holding a lot of gold on your bench, but we'll see. So he does pick up the Rumbles. That was the other thing that we were talking about that you might swap that Blitzcrank out for, is so you can get that Demolitionist buff and that other frontliner, and the Rumble ult is just so good, obviously.
Yeah, just such a strong standalone unit, and then add on the demo synergy.
Yeah.
Very strong. This is also something we saw Voltairix do yesterday, where he had carry items on Zed, if you remember, and I thought that he was going to sell it and put the items onto Jinx, but he didn't, and he ended up going first in that lobby.
That was the lobby where he ended up with like 2 GP2s, right?
Jinx.
If I remember right. Yeah, he had the Shaco in there as well. Oh, Infiltrator Jinx. No, you're right. Yeah, that's
Infiltrator
right.
Jinx, yeah.
That was crazy.
I wonder if he's going to do that again.
I guess know.
Cuz it's not like IE and a sword are the best items on Jinx.
Right. Well, if you don't put items on her, you might as well just do it for the Infiltrator buff. But things going well for Voltairix, so let's check out a player with for whom things are not going so well. Bobe down at the very bottom of the lobby, 25 points or 25 hit points left for him, which is not great, we'll say. But does he have a chance to come back? That's the question.
It looks like he's mostly positioning for Lev, right? Oh no.
Yeah, he has to. I mean, either way, he has to try to position for somebody, right? Because he's all in on the Shaco, and he's got arguably perfect items on the Shaco. So this could start popping off. Yeah. He's sacrificed a lot to get here, but I like it.
It's a little rough when you're playing against Cybers. I mean, I know that eventually Cybers can do okay, but but yeah, I mean.
You're not wrong, Becca, but then the Shaco 2 conundrum comes into it, where it's like,
I was gonna finish my point, and then I was like, well, no. I guess this is
welcome to being a caster.
I'm still trying to get more comfortable with it, but it's been really fun.
The first rule of casting is like whatever you decide to talk about, the opposite will happen in the game when you're talking about it. That's generally how it goes.
Yeah, that's how that felt. I was like, okay,
pretty much.
Can I just go back in time now?
Nope, there's no take backs. No, unfortunately. It's going to be a Reddit thread now. There's nothing you can do.
Okay, so he does have, he has Celestial, which I think is a little redundant because his carry does have the Bloodthirster.
Yeah, for sure.
But now he has the Jhin in, and Jhin does so well, we all know, with the Celestial buff.
Yep. Huge for Jhin, because he does such big chunks of damage, so you get a lot, even if it's a lower percentage. I think it's like still, 15% for Celestial right now? Yeah. I'm already forgetting all my set 3 synergy numbers, because my mind is starting to shift over to set 4.
I know, you've been really into the set 4 grind.
I've been playing a lot. I played like, I think 12 games on the first day or something like that. It was awesome.
It's really fun.
I love it. I haven't played in the last 2 days because I've been focused on this, but as soon as this is over today, it's all set 4. But let's watch.
I still want to play Big Bang Galaxy.
Yeah, me too. I'm still gonna play a little bit of set 3, but you know, Shaco.
Okay,
Shaco.
He one-shot the Vayne.
Yep, he's gonna do it again.
That was probably not Vayne.
Voltairic's like, you can tell he's collecting his coins because his little legend starts running a little bit faster. But so this is cool though for Bobe, because he was really low. He sacrificed a lot of HP. He was able to get carousel priority. He zeroed in on the Shaco being his way out of a fast 8, and he might have just done it. That's a couple round wins in a row. He's got a win streak going now. Goes to 8 on 4-6. A little bit later than a normal, fast 8, but it's not too bad. You're still hitting it before 5-2, and he's got a pretty solid comp going right now.
Yeah, something I've noticed newer players do is that they won't level the round right before a PvE round because they've heard so often that it's better to have a lot of gold going into it for the interest. Sure. But at the HP level that Bobe is at, it's definitely his health is definitely more valuable than the gold is. So I like that he leveled here. Try to get a little stronger, get the mystics in. Tarak is a great unit in and of itself as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point actually. That when it comes down to this point in the game, your HP is more important than anything else. Ooh, that Vayne. Can he win? No. I was going to say G8 got popped a little bit early there. See, there you go. You were talking about cybernetics being pretty decent against this, and there's a good example of that where...
Exactly. There I should have started saying it. But yeah, when your Shaco gets onto the Vayne and you're just hoping he might just randomly kill her, but she always gets her ult off and survives for too long.
Yep, that's the thing. So, Bobe trying to stabilize a little bit here, and I would say he's pretty stable unless he runs into more of those situations, and even then, when you've got this Shaco too with these items, you can basically beat any board if the Shaco doesn't get the GA popped early. If that happens, then you're in trouble. So positioning is super important. We've seen him be pretty good at it, and we'll have to kind of keep track as we look through other players in the lobby here to see if he holds on.
Yeah, he's actually been really diligent about his positioning. We watch him whenever he's positioning. He has a unit. He has the unit that he wants to, like the shrouded unit, the Jarvan 4. He always has it in his hand. He's like ready to move it to wherever he needs as soon as he sees the opponent that he thinks he's gonna play.
Right. That's what you got to do. Well, let's check in again with Zlooper here. And Zlooper did play one game of Battlecast reroll in Game 3 yesterday. But it didn't go. It didn't end up quite like this. This is actually 6 Battlecasts here. He found the Kog'Maw 3, but is this comp good enough to break into the top 4 or maybe win? I'm still not convinced. Looks like he's going to win this round, but I don't know. I know Battlecast seems like a good trait, but I'm just never convinced as far as it being like a consistent comp.
I don't know. He does have 6 in already. He has 6 in, really and good. We did see a lot of. Well, it felt like. Multiple Vayne carries, and it is targeted damage that's coming out of the Battlecast, so it doesn't seem like the worst thing, especially and also against the Shaco. It is also targeted damage against some of these mobile carries, so maybe it'll work out fine. He probably just wants to get in Mystics now if he can fit it.
I mean, the really nice thing for him is that he hit that Urgot fairly early. We're going to jump on board with Zhuangzi right now, who is down at 8th, and so it's a battle for survival. Went with the Star Guardian Sorcerer build, and his board does not look that bad, honestly. He's got the 2 stars where he needs it, but maybe just a little bit too late as he goes against Bobe here. And it's all about the Nico right now, CCing this Shaco.
Yeah, the Nico really locked down that Shaco.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
wow, that was close.
Shaco could have killed that Syndra a little earlier.
Yep.
But that's it for Bobe for this round.
Well, that's the thing. If you're playing Star Guardian Sorcerer, pack everything around that Syndra so that the Shaco can't jump on her. You can see it worked out pretty well. Bobe, our representative from South Korea, out in 8th in his first game. That doesn't mean he's out of luck. It is a rough start, though, as he's only going to get 1 point, so still needs 17 to hit that threshold to unlock the win with the first place. But I'm curious about what Zhuangzi is going to do here as far as positioning goes, because there's only kind of so much you can do with this build, and it's hard to move everything, right?
Yeah, so he has units on top of all, like, completely surrounding his carry Syndra.
Yeah.
Sometimes I see people move the Nico a little bit, but I guess... Oh, okay, his Nico just got eaten by the Urgot. So now his backline is exposed, but it looks like it's fine. The Jenna got her ult off a few times.
Yeah, you lose all that crowd control, which is really rough when the Nico goes down early like that. But like you said, thankfully for him, the Syndra is able to handle a lot of the lower HP targets on the Battlecast side, and where Battlecast relies on healing up over time with that trait, it's kind of vulnerable to big damage spikes like the Syndra ultimate. So that's a pretty good matchup for Star Guardians, I think, in general.
Yeah, and we see Zhuangzi go for the Shroud on the carousel, and it's really good because he's playing Star Guardian. He doesn't want other people to be shrouding him easily, so he's just taking that away from others. And on top of that, it's just a really awesome item. It's like a game-changing item.
Yeah, especially at this point in the game, where people's comps are kind of online, so if you can hit them with something like that, you can win rounds, frankly. And he needs to do nothing but win rounds if he wants to stay in this lobby.
Yeah, just delaying some of the bigger ults, like a Janna ult or Urgot ult, makes such a huge difference.
He doesn't have any room on his Nico right now, which is fine because Nico has awesome items. But I wonder what he's going to put the Shroud on. Would you maybe put it on the Rakan because it's more mobile? What would you do?
I think Rakan because you can kind of put him anywhere.
Yeah.
Rakan or even Zoe or Soraka, but I think probably Rakan.
Yeah, I think that's what he would prefer. He's going to wait to place it until the round begins so that he can get optimal placement for the first one. But, I think if in a perfect world you could put the Rakan. Looks like it's going to go on the Lulu this time. So hits a lot of Volteriix's Rebels here. Nico gets a pretty good first ult off. Wow, Volteriix actually did find the Aurelion Soul too with the double Ludens. That's huge.
Yeah, but that Janna ult was humongous.
Yeah.
Hit all of his own teammates and hit the entire enemy team.
Well, this is the strength of the Star Guardians comp when you get the Janna online, is that it just rolls through everything so fast. But that said, you look at the top 4 right now, or top 3. 2 out of the 3 are from EU. So Europe looking pretty good in lobby number 1. Levdi Trotsky currently on a win streak, up in first place even. So as far as
really close to falling.
Yeah, it looks a little bit rough for China right now in the first game. Scouting. Cybernetics.
It looks like Zhuangzi thinks he might be playing against Alpha here. He kind of kept focusing on his board. Oh,
ends up hitting Shoemaker. Yeah, you can make a better educated guess at this point in the round because you've played so many matches at this point. But yeah, his positioning turned out okay though. But the thing is, if that Janna ult goes off, you're going to be so strong. He's even got the Xerath in there. Yeah, that'll be an easy round win. And, oh no, AlphaGo knocked out in 7th. And AlphaGo, he had a really good results yesterday overall. And he did take 1/8 in game 2, but aside from that, pretty good.
Yeah, and we see Sleeper dropping down to 2 with the Battlecast.
Yeah.
Oof.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, I just feel like this Battlecast comp, like, I've seen it win. I know it can be good, but just in general, it feels like a 4 through 6 comp. You know what I mean?
Yeah, unless you hit the miraculous 8th Battlecast with the specs.
Yeah. Very true. So it's gonna be okay. So RFC from Kane. So that's something I suppose you can just throw on the Janna just to make her go off a little bit faster. But so it looks like Zhuangzi is stabilized for now. So let's move on and check out what Levdi has been up to. He's been going 6 Blade Master, focusing on this Xayah carry. So not quite Shredder, but just a different variation of the 6 Blade Master. What do you think about this fully stacked Shen 3? I love it.
I think it is really good. But also I think this is just Shredder, the Shredder build, 6 Blade Master, Xayah carry.
Yeah, I guess my mind still thinks of like Shredder being like a build with Jarvan, but you're right, you don't really see that much anymore.
Yeah, you're right. I see. Yeah, I mean, I think the Shen is such a good unit. They also buffed Shen a few patches back. Oh, he just got a little wrecked by the Syndra.
Got bodied by Zhuangzi. Man.
Yeah. I mean, against the comp like that where he tends to be all clumped up, the Janna's just going to do so much work.
Yeah. Pretty much. You kind of need... and, I mean, honestly, Blade Masters I've always felt has been a comp that's always suffered a little bit versus Star Guardians, just because of all that crowd control, and Blade Masters has traditionally done a little bit worse for that. If you can slow down their Blade Masters doing all the damage, then you will be in a position where you can just beat them pretty easily, because nothing's very tanky on that comp, you know?
Yeah, I remember they used to play Shredder with the QSS on Xayah until everyone, all the high elo players would say that as long as you position Xayah well, she doesn't need the QSS. But I think with the number of Jannas, I think it's not. I guess Janna ult's a little too late for it to be super useful. Still.
Yeah, I suppose. Volterix versus Zhuangzi. These are two of the better players we saw yesterday, and Zhuangzi in trouble. And that Syndra, can she get the 2 kills? She can. Oh
my goodness.
Yeah.
Wait, is Zhuangzi gonna come back all the way? He's in the.
I wouldn't be
top
surprised.
4 now.
Yeah, top 4 has been decided. Shoemaker, Lev D, Zhuangzi, and Volterix. So 2 from EU, our player from Japan, and Shoemaker, and Zhuangzi, who we now know after the intro that if the Chinese players don't do well today, they've got careers in acting to fall back on. Apparently, that video was amazing.
Yeah, Zhuangzi was really good in that promotional video. His dabs were on point. Okay, so I actually can't remember what Shoemaker was playing. Cybers, I think Shoemaker was Cybers.
So
we have a Cyber player, Rebel player, Shredder player, and a Star Guardian player. So it's actually all different comps, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, the meta's in a good place right now.
Yeah.
Oh, that Riven, though. Look at the items on that Lev D tossed on it. And that is the end of Volterix. So EU versus EU. Lev D retaking the #1 spot for the moment. We're going to jump over to his view to see if he can close out this game. He's got the HP lead going into the 6-4 carousel. But can he beat the Star Guardians of Zhuangzi and the Cybers of Shoemaker? That's the question.
Yeah, for Volt, it was a little unfortunate because he had to play against that Shen 3, and it's really, really hard for Jinx carry to get through it, so it's hard for her to really deal enough damage into that.
Right.
So
what do you
got
think?
The Runons. I'm not sure who he's planning on putting that Runons on. Maybe he's hoping for a Thresh to put so they could proc the Mana Reaver. So maybe he'll put it on Aurelia. Yeah.
I guess you'd rather have the Thresh in than the Darius, but maybe the Lulu would be a little bit better right now. What do you think? Would you prioritize Lulu ability over Mana Reaver? That's a tough call.
No, I think he picked up the Runons specifically to spread that Mana Reaver proc, I think. So
yeah, that makes sense.
He's definitely not going to play that Lulu. Yeah, he wants to Mana Reave as much as he can against Zhuangzi. It's looking
Working for the moment.
pretty close.
Can he close it out?
Oh, Syndra got Lulu ulted, so she's been slowed down. Oh no, okay, she killed Xayah, but she's about to die.
One more ult. That's Shendo, super tanky. Janna versus Lulu and Soraka.
Janna versus
All right, supportal
support
combat.
Wait, Lulu got the ult off, but she's also CC'd. It's overtime now. All right, GG. Oh my goodness, that was so close.
And he always loves to pop. He loves to pop out of his chair and like get out of there as soon as the game ends.
Yeah, he just likes this dip.
He goes and like does like a 100-meter sprint or something just to get like his heart racing and his brain like powered up again for the next one. Oh, Darius too. It's 6-6. He found it, but it's gonna be Lev D versus Shoemaker.
He found the
so
Thresh.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's gonna be a bit better than the Darius because you can pull the Urgot in as well, of course.
Okay.
This is a matchup I feel like I haven't seen very often.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just, neither of us see too much Shredder nowadays.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember how this one generally goes.
Okay, so if Echo ults during a Blade Master's proc, he'll just target them completely. And I think Echo died before ulting.
Yeah, looks like that. Xayah doing a lot of damage here. The Lulu ult was really big, actually.
The Lulu ult was huge, too.
Yeah, Lulu, too.
Yeah.
CC's so strong, and that'll do it. So Lev D...
Actually,
winning game #1. Really strong build he put together and showing us kind of a different 6 Blade Master look than we see. You know, everyone talks about the Master Yi carry and all that kind of stuff, but that was a little bit different. The Xayah carry, the sort of the evolution of the Shredder build. I think you're right where it's maybe not Shredder in a classic way, but it's still sort of the same vibe, right? Where it's like everything is there to empower the Xayah.
Build.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like the late game Shredder build where you decide that the Jarvan buff isn't worth it anymore. And then at the end, I think the Shen really carries too against Vayne. The Vayne can't get through the Shen. So unless she has like an RFC, then I think that fight was probably just always going to end that way.
Yeah, I think there's other little things there too. Like if you have a way to target their Lulu 2 on the other side, that gets really scary because you look at like the difference between Lulu 1 and Lulu 2. Like Lulu 1, you're not as concerned about it because it takes her so long for her ability to go off. But Lulu too, that's like a serious concern. So it didn't seem like the not crowd control, but like ability control wasn't there as much on the Shoemaker side as far as like mana drain, that kind of stuff for the Shroud. Let's take a look at some highlights from that first game and relive some of the best memories of the last 20 to 25 minutes or so. Let's see. Yeah, all right. Well, we did see 6 battle casts, didn't we? That was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We actually saw such a wide variety of comps in that last game.
Yeah, we really did. And that's, again, that's just like one of the reasons why I've really, really loved the latter half of set 3 for the most part, is that the meta just really opened up like 2 patches ago, and we've seen people be so good with so many things.
Yeah, I think the balance team really pulled it out at the end. Sadly, a lot of people were already like super like ready to play set 4, so I think this gets a little underappreciated, but this patch has been pretty awesome.
Yeah, for like those of us who really are like in the competitive scene, this has been like a really, really great month or two. If you've been following some of the tournaments, if you've been playing on the ladder yourself, it's been feeling good. But
yeah, because we came into this.
Yeah.
Because we came into this thinking that we were going to see so much Star Guardian, and we just haven't. We've just been seeing players play whatever they get.
Yeah, there's been a little bit of it. We did see one game yesterday, like what it was a game 1 of Lobby B, where everyone was really contesting it. We saw like 3 Star Guardian players, but that was the only time we saw kind of oversaturation for that comp in this tournament so far. But it's still definitely good. It's pretty insane, actually, that Zhuangzi was able to take this from like sub 10 HP and ride the 4 HP hype train all the way up to like a 3rd place finish.
Yeah, he went from 4 HP in 8th, which just means one bad fight with bad RNG would mean he's out of it, but he made it all the way to 3rd. Really like tight positioning, having to make sure everything's in the right spot.
Yep, he's done a good job of navigating low HP situations. Let's
and here
check
we just
out...
see the Vayne stuck there. Yeah, the Vayne just stuck on the Shen forever.
That's exactly what you want if you're Lev D. That's why the Shen is there.
Yep.
And Lev D Trotsky from Denmark getting the win in game number 1 with a bit of 6 Blade Master Shredder action.
Yep. I keep getting proven wrong that Shredder is really good. It just means I can't play this comp.
No, I totally know what you mean, because since it's evolved into this version of it, I've been terrible with it too. And so I'm like, Master Yi is better, you know. But honestly, if you're really good, if you know what you're doing, this comp can be strong too. But I think a lot of what did it was just a really, really stacked Shen 3 holding up the front line, giving Xayah the time, you know. So this is our top 8 right now, and I guess you're gonna sit the next one out, Becca?
Yep, see you guys next game.
All right, well, we are gonna bring in Cloud9's own Crowan for game number 2. Crowan, you watched game number 1. What were your big takeaways from that one?
Oh man, big takeaways. I was concerned whether or not Lev D would get baited by that Xayah Shredder composition, but he played it super, super well. Had 6 Xayahs early, a slow rolled until he hit the Xayah 3, and was able to go 9 and put in a bunch of really good units and positioned to super well to take that game. So really impressed by Lev D there for sure.
Yeah, I feel like the key to that one, to making that work, was fighting the urge to make subpar damage items to make your Xayah like better because you feel awkward about the items you get, and instead saying, you know what, I can just make really good defensive items like the Frozen Heart and stuff like that for Shen, and then that by proxy gives Xayah more damage because she's alive longer to do it. So that was just a really good approach of having a subpar item start, I think, for that.
Oh yeah, exactly. The Frozen Heart and Ionic were some of the first items built in that game on the Shen. Shen was tier 3'd pretty quickly as well, so just super, super good choices there by Lev D, as you just stated. As we go into game number 2 here. Ooh, we're on a big bang. Excited to cast this one.
Another big bang. This is our 3rd one so far. This is, of course, the Galaxy that just happened in the very last patch. You get a Force of Nature at 3-1. You get a reroll every turn, and every minion drops an orb. So on board with Lev D, our winner from game number 1, to see what treasures he receives in the first couple rounds.
Yeah, we will see, starting off with that crit glove. But yeah, Big Bang, as you see on the screen there, is a combination of getting a free reroll, Force of Nature in Stage 3 begins, and loot orbs from every single minion. So it's going to be a lot of action going on. Someone who I did get a chance to speak with before this tournament started was Volteriux, who went 4th place, I believe, last game. But Volteriux is actually excited about playing Big Bang Galaxy, and since he was in Lobby 1 yesterday, who didn't see any Big Bang Galaxies, this is going to be the first time that we see him play this on or during this tournament.
Yeah, that's right. Should be really fun. I haven't actually gotten to play this Galaxy yet, but what we know is that just the acceleration, right? You get so many more resources, and it's kind of like juggling those resources. That's going to separate the good players from the great players on this particular one. Just to talk a little bit about our format on the right side of the screen, as you can see, the point system is a little bit different today as well. It's 10 for first, and then it drops down to 8 for second, and then it drops down to 6 for third, and then goes by increments of 1 after that. So the point system definitely favors those who can hit 1 and 2, and that'll help you, if you can do that, that'll definitely help you get to that 18-point threshold a lot faster.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm excited. Once players hit that 18-point threshold, it's certainly just such a different pacing than yesterday, because players are going to be going for that win, not just playing consistently for the top 4s. Like you need to get that win. It's so important.
Right.
I think that'll change up a lot of players' play styles. Maybe they won't go for certain compositions that they played yesterday, but go for new stuff today. We saw, Zaya BM win last game, and Cybers actually get second. We actually had 3 players playing Cybernetics last game. I believe it was KC Double, Shoemaker, and AlphaGo actually, and 2 of those players between AlphaGo and Double win 6th and 7th place respectively. So maybe a little bit too much contention there for some of our players.
Yeah, I mean, I think about when you play, when you talk about Volteriux playing Rebels, and you think about the other, the Blade Master player, Lev D playing Blade Masters, that puts a lot of extra strain on the Cybernetics players too, because it makes it a lot harder to find the Aurelia, which is such a crucial unit,
Oh, yeah, very much so. I think that's something that players have to keep in mind over the course of the game. As we check in here with Bobe, has a pretty decent start. A couple of tier 2'd frontliners. Slammed a Warmogs, though, so if you see a Warmogs, personally, I'm thinking about Nico and going to want to pivot into those Star Guardians. And there is a Nico on the bench for Bobe already, as well as a Zoe, so we could see that pivot here later.
Yeah, he's holding on to a couple Jarvans as well, because you generally don't want to put the Nico in until you can, have that protector buff going too. So he's definitely thinking Star Guardians. He does like that build too, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him go for it. He did end up going Sorix in Game 2 yesterday, so we know he knows how to play it.
Yeah, and he got first that game as well, so definitely some prowess displayed there with that build. It is interesting when we talk about the Star Guardian composition, specifically from the Chinese region playing it, because I think in the Chinese qualifiers there was so many Star Guardian games, but actually out of all the Chinese players yesterday, Chen was the only player to play Star Guardians, only played it during one game. We know Xuanzi did play it last game though, so it's pretty. It was good information, I suppose. Still, and he came back from going almost 8th place to getting 3rd. That was super impressive.
Yeah, that was a pretty insane run back to avoid death when you get down to sub 5 HP. But he did it. Bobe really needs to try to avoid death the most he can this game too, because he did get 8th in game number 1, so he really needs like a 1 or a 2 to keep himself in the running to possibly win the whole thing. So he's going up against Lev D here.
Yeah, actually, I don't know if you've noticed, but like Bobe, when he got 8th last game, was like very visibly upset, kind of like put his hands in his face, and I was very worried for Bobe in that moment. Like, can you maintain your composure after going 8th in game 1 of the final day? I hope so for Bobe's sake, and it seems right now that he's composed. It's just a matter of if he'll be able to keep that composure.
Right. Because, I mean, everybody takes an 8th once in a while, right? Somebody has to go 8th in the lobby, so you can't beat yourself too much, beat yourself up too much about it, even in the finals, because you still have a chance. I mean, if you look at the OCE NA finals, Obo came back and won that after, really kind of struggling in the first couple games. So it's definitely possible. It's rough, but it's not the end of the world for sure. But, we know from his interview, he's kind of putting the weight of the Korean esports scene on his shoulders, which I don't think he should do. I think that's him being unfair to himself.
It's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of expectation to put on yourself for the very first time you find yourself in a situation like this. But, I appreciate that he feels those stakes, you know?
Oh yeah, definitely. It just shows the importance of what this means to players like Bobe, with representing Korea at the World Championship, feeling the weight of your region's expectations on your shoulders. Hopefully, can kind of steer away from that in terms of how that will affect you pressure-wise. But Bobe doing decently here in game number 1, 88 HP currently, as we do switch over to AlphaGo though.
Yep, swapping over to AlphaGo as we enter the carousel here. Looks like AlphaGo has Space Pirate Vanguard going right now, so I wonder if he was able to find the early Jace. Once we take a look at his board, we'll find out, I suppose. And I like this too. We've got the inventory. So without knowing the direction people are going, it's a little bit tough to read that as far as how good it is for each player. But just in terms of general item power, you look at players like Slooper, and there's a lot of good stuff you can make out of that.
Yeah, no, definitely. You can make Redemption, Frozen Heart, both good items. This is only the uncombined item inventory, so we'll have to see what that will synergize with the completed items that are already made. But it is interesting to see that there are 2 players in Slooper and Volterix that are leaving 3 components unbuilt, and everyone else has, slammed some items. AlphaGo actually has a lot of uncompleted items here, but just now is choosing to make a Last Whisper. But the bow actually has 2 Nico's Help already as well, between the, with all of those loot boxes at the beginning. That's super, super interesting. I know this is kind of reminiscent of, the Galaxy that is no longer in the game, but that the Nico verse, when you start off the game with 2 Nicos, it's sort of like you got a 4th Galaxy here in Big Bang, at least for AlphaGo. What direction will he go with that, though? Do you choose to, wait and use those on a 4 or 5 cost unit, or do you do it more aggressively, maybe when you find that vein or something?
He's playing the bigger bang right now, it seems like.
Yeah,
playing the Nico verse. I always like the Nico verse, but it's nice to shuffle through some other things. We'll see what he decides to go towards. But it feels like right now with the situation, if you think back to Nico verse, in the end, I think a lot of people were trending towards using those on 4 costs. In the current meta, imagining that Nico verse exists right now, what champion level do you think is probably the most appealing to immediately 2-star?
Ooh, that is interesting. I think it is situational, but probably I would say 4 cost units once you hit those. Say like Lev D there with that Irelia will be super appealing to go. Maybe even the Vayne though. I actually want to, reference a caster we'll be seeing later. That's Primal. Casted a game of his once where he double Nico'd a Vayne early and ended up winning that game with like 70 plus HP. So it still is viable to do that. If AlphaGo ends up finding a Vayne, I'd be curious to see the thought process and decision making there of choosing to hold them or use them. But facing up against KC Double 61 here, who has a Rumble and a Victor already, so we could see a mech game for the first time today.
Yeah, mech has been really good. Did win a game yesterday, so wouldn't be surprised to see a couple players pick it up.
Yeah, definitely.
Primal's in our chat right now, and he says Crone's shouting out my greatest competitive achievement. Oh,
no, he played that
a big
super,
brain
super
move,
well.
Primal. We're going in on Terra Bursters now, but yeah, I like that. I mean, I think there's arguments for Nicoing a couple 3 costs here and there too. Here's our completed item inventory. So we got a couple of Warmogs here, Shoemaker with the Giant Slayer IE. That's interesting. Definitely a strong item combo.
A lot of aggressive attack damage items there. See an IE out of Lev D as well. Check out what AlphaGo gets from these Terra Burster rounds. Gets a glove and a sword. So some more AD items. It could be just in IE Slam. Yeah, IE Slam with that Last Whisper. AlphaGo, I believe... Yeah, no. AlphaGo is the player that played 4 games of Cybernetics yesterday and played Cyber's last game as well to get a 7th, but this is looking like a much better start here for him.
Right. Well, one of the things we've always said is the Force of Nature Galaxy Super Dense is good for Cybernetics a little bit extra, just because you can put that Force of Nature on one of your units and gain the Cybernetics buff, because, an item's an item, right? So where that is part of the Big Bang makes a lot of sense, He's got a little bit of an awkward situation with the bow, but I guess he's going to take all of this off Illusion at some point. As soon as he finds a Vayne, I think we're going to see that swapped.
Oh, definitely. I believe we will. And also, not only is this super dense, but this is a treasure trove as well. A galaxy that also super favors cybernetics. You're going to be getting enough items to fit every single cybernetic with probably at least one completed item, especially with the Force of Nature being a part of it now.
Yeah, I think this is a really good direction to go because having the 2 Nikos also mitigates one of the trickier things in this galaxy, where in a galaxy where a lot of people are going to be tempted to go cybernetics, if you can Nico your Aurelia or your Vayne or something like that first, right, you're just going to get out ahead of everybody because in set 3, those Nikos will still take those champions out of the pool, I believe.
Yeah, they will now indeed. So, interesting thing to note. I was actually thinking more about the use of Nikos. I talked about the Vayne and the Aurelia, but maybe even Alpha goes in a position where he's playing so well in the early game that he can, greed and use them on an Echo later on. And that's kind of one of the win conditions with the cybernetic composition is having an Echo too. And it's just so powerful late stages of the game.
That's a really good point. You could just be greedy and wait until the very end. It's dangerous, but it's possible. We're going to move over to Shoemaker now from Japan. He is another one of our cybernetics players in the lobby. We saw a pretty good start for our other cybernetics player. Now let's see how Shoemaker's doing compared to AlphaGo. He's got the Vayne already, but he only has 1 Nico, so I guess he can't go a Nico 2 there.
Has a pair of Vaynes though, but is choosing to not use that Nikos yet. I think Syndra will win this one. Yeah, Slooper having that tier 2 Syndra can be better than a tier 1 Vayne. There's 5 cybernetics in for Shoemaker right now, so just needs to find that Aurelia, and then we'll be up to that 6 power spike using that reroll. Hasn't found it quite yet though, but does get that blaster synergy for Lucian, and Lucian being the tier 2 carry right now, it's going to be super, super huge there.
Yeah, I feel like with the hit point level he's at, he doesn't need to roll anymore here. He can kind of just chill and imagine that this board it might not get you on a big win streak, but it's certainly going to keep you semi-safe, as you save up a bit more.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. 83 HP, very comfortable to be at right now. Lev D, another Cyber player. So a lot of people going towards Cybers this game. We had 3 last game, and we have at least 3 right now. We talked about earlier, these Galaxies do pair well for Cybernetics.
Yep, and Cybernetics can definitely support a few players, but if it gets to be like the 3-4 range, that's when it starts to be a little bit tricky, especially when it comes to those Aurelias and those Echoes, right?
Oh, especially Echoes being one of the main things there. Whoever finds those Echoes first, the other person's going to be a little bit screwed there. Although, with the addition of Vayne in this set, there is 6 cyber potential without the Echo, so not going to be a huge deal there as it would have been in the past.
Oh, he's going right for that Aurelia. Oh no, AlphaGo stole it away from Shoemaker. I was wondering about that.
Could have ran to it a little bit quicker. I'm not sure, but
maybe because I was surprised that AlphaGo didn't go for that right away. Because I mean, it's an Aurelia with a chain vest. Like obviously, normally you're looking at the items, you're not looking at the champion. But if you're playing cybernetics, and you have a sword, and you have a very good chance of finding a sword because it's Big Bang, you could turn that into like a GA on Aurelia, which is great. It's not Thieves' Gloves, but it's still a really good item. So yeah, I'm just surprised it took AlphaGo that long to decide he wanted it.
Yeah, no, definitely a little bit interesting there. But there were some good rolls here for Shoemaker, finding not only a Vayne 2, but also an Ezreal 2. So a bit more of a power spike there. Shoemaker is on a 2-loss streak, but hopefully turn that around before we enter the Infiltrator PvE round.
It's so rough, though, being on 5 cybernetics, All he needs is one more. I guess which one is he missing? He's missing
Aurelia.
Well, Echo obviously, but also the Aurelia.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was actually really big that AlphaGo snagged that, wasn't it?
Oh, totally. And actually, Shoemaker is only on 24 gold right now on 3-5. I know with the trade sector component of this Galaxy, you're going to be buying a lot more units, so your econ's going to be hurt a little bit more, but this is still pretty low. Like we sometimes see players be level 7 here with like 30 gold, but Shoemaker is probably 30 gold-ish away from that.
Yeah. Well, we will leave him there as we'll see if he finds the Aurelia later on. Let's swap over to Zhuangzi now, see what he's leaning towards. I believe I saw some Rebels in that last round when he was playing. Some scouting, but there it is.
Looks like just holding for Mech here. The Victor is on the bench. The Nocturne is holding the Morellos. has that Annie 2 in, has the Rumble on the bench. So as soon
Yeah.
as that Fizz is found, I believe Chauncey will make that transition at that point.
Yeah, you would think so. Seems like just kind of a Rebels sort of like a transition, basically. And it's done
Yeah.
okay for
It's
him.
good.
71 HP? Yeah.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
Oh, not bad. I think playing the strongest board, which Chauncey is doing pretty well right now. I think he did it very well, at least in the first 3 games yesterday, not so much in the last 2. But playing strongest board to get you to this point is important. The HP is really close, actually, in this lobby between 1st and 7th place. AlphaGo being a little bit on the lower end there at 51, but only a 14 HP differential between the majority of our players.
Yeah, nobody's really running away with it right now. Bobe on the win streak, but that's about it.
Yeah.
And even he had lost a good amount of HP. So checking in
Yeah.
on the uncompleted items, Zhuangzi, hey, he has a spatula, and that might be helpful later on for, you know, like an extra infiltrator or something like that, possibly.
Yeah, maybe even extra force of nature, you know? It's higher chance to get
True.
spatulas on the treasure trove portion of Big Bang. We'll see. You know, there is no longer the demolitionist spat.
I was gonna say,
so,
yeah.
can't do one of those. But someone who I did want to take a look at in the
Kaizen
future.
anymore.
Yeah, no, that was so impressive. You know, thank you,
It
Riot,
was.
for removing that. So, but I did want to take
I
a
don't
look
think
at
anyone was sad
Bobe
about
later
that.
on. No,
Yeah.
no, definitely not.
So-
but Bobe actually was re-rolling for a bunch of one-cost units. I believe he had Caitlyn and Twisted Fate at least at tier 3, and maybe one other as well. Checking in still with, or sticking with Chauncey for the moment, though. Oh, actually facing Bobe, this is perfect. Yeah, tier 3
Oh, yeah.
Caitlyn and TF with the rerolls. This is not something that you see very frequently at all.
Yeah, and he's got 40 gold, so his economy wasn't like totally shot by this or anything either. So this wasn't hyper rolled. This was hit fairly naturally, slow rolled like you would normally see, and that is a lot of strength early on. And I actually really like this from Bobe. It's unorthodox. We're gonna swap to his view to watch him play this out for a little while. Because this is Bobe basically saying, you know what, I know cybernetics are good in this galaxy. I am rejecting that completely. I am focusing towards the re-rolling side of things. And, you know, we'll see what he's able to achieve with this. Looks like he's trying to pick up some more protectors. You could, you know, start leveling quicker soon. And, you know, maybe just try to hit a quicker 8, possibly. This is an interesting opening. I really don't know how you'd want to play out of this. What do you think?
I think that what Bobe is doing right now is just looking for that Jarvan 3 and then going to push levels. Doesn't want to push levels and be stuck with that Jarvan 2 forever, as Jarvan 3 is a huge power spike here. So that's probably the thought process. If you're able to find Rakans and Xin Shao's along the way to get that Rakan 3, that's going to be super powerful as well. Isn't going to be winning this round. A lot of the cyber compositions are really strong at this point.
Right. You're hitting your Aurelias, you're getting that 6 cybernetic buff online at this point. So yeah, this is where it does get a little bit tricky. And this is where, you want to hit that Jarvan 3, but you can't spend too much time doing it. You can see him just picking out a couple 1 costs from the pool just to kind of thin that out a little bit. There's one, needs one more. Rakan 2 is a nice pickup either way. Yeah.
There it is. Okay. Yeah, instantly levels up to 6. I love that there. Puts another Rakan 2. I think Bobe is pretty safe to win streak from here. I will say hesitantly, actually, because I know the cyber competitions are super strong. But you're Bobe.
Yeah.
You have 4 tier 3 units right now.
But who's your damage dealer? That's what I'm wondering. You just kind of have to grind these rounds out, I guess Jarvan kind of is that. I really do like that he's prioritizing Bramble Vest because you've seen a lot of Infinity Edges built in this lobby. So that's going to be better than, say, like the Titan's Resolve that you see maybe a little bit more commonly these days. But yeah, like we were kind of guessing, just kind of grinding that round out.
Yeah, Voltairic's taking a huge hit there, but there's a really good point that you mentioned, like where's damage coming from? Because there is no items on any of the damage dealers in Bobe's comp. There's just the tanks with the 2 items on Rakan, 3 items on that Jarvan. Of course, Jarvan does do a lot of damage with that Bramble and that Ionic Spark, just, from the item-wise, but hopefully during this carousel and during the Arc Raptors coming up, we'll be able to find some of those damage items. There's a sword on the bench there, so hopefully something for Caitlyn will show up.
Yeah, we'll see. Bobe last to pick because he is cursed with 2nd place right now. Finding the gloves, which is always just like a good item. You can turn that into a lot of really useful stuff. So, so what was left, so you might as well grab it, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
You can build
the
IE out of this.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's an IE and goes in the Kaelin. I was also going to bring up the fact that the HPs still remain pretty similar throughout the throughout this lobby. There's 68 with Salooper, 67 Bobe, 66 Shoemaker, so still kind of neck and neck race here.
Just the big drop off from 6th to 7th, right, where you have Zhuangzi and Volterix down at the bottom. See Bobe kind of shaking his head a little bit there. He's in that situation where you've leveled up to 8, but you don't really have everything you want to put in there. He's got 4 Celestial, which is good with, you know, the star levels that he's got, but now he's got to make the transition, right? He's got to figure out where to take this comp, and that can be tricky sometimes.
Yeah, opting to play 4 Celestial here instead of 4 Protector, I believe, so interesting. Still, I mean, takes that round decisively again, so the strengthless composition cannot be ignored. Hopefully we'll save up enough gold after the Arc Raptors to level up to 8 and put both of those in. Buying the whole shop there to reroll. Doesn't really hit anything great there, though.
Right.
Probably will just econ.
Yeah, I feel like he wants to find some 5 costs, but Aurelion Soul is probably one of the ones that fits into this comp the least. That said, it's still an Aurelion Soul, so you know, maybe there's a scenario where you throw it in for a little while. At least if you hold it on your bench, other people aren't getting it. You're not hurting your economy because you're above 20 anyway, and you can kind of deny that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think there's actually room for it, unfortunately, for Bobe, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's going to be pretty strong regardless. If it's Lev D, one of our Cyber players, Lev D sitting, you know, at 2nd place right under Bobe.
Yeah, but look at all those 1-stars on his side. 1-star Vayne. I think I saw 1-star Aurelia. It's enough, I mean, but that was close. That actually did better than I thought it was going to be. That Vayne, even at 1-star with those items, it's crazy.
It really very much is so. Vayne 1s can just pop out wins from nowhere sometimes, it seems. So
with those items,
bit of a strong unit there. Oh yeah, what was that? Last Whisper, IE Giant Slayer, like perfect Vayne items right there.
Yep. Vayne is definitely one of the more item-dependent champions, because like with any one of those 3 items not on that Vayne during that last round, I think Bobe wins that. But the fact that all 3 items were on the Vayne and she got so much time was basically untouched. You know, I think that's what caused it to go the other way.
Yeah. Okay, a bit of gold there for Bobe. So Bobe will be able to level up to 8 right now if he wants. Does use the reroll first. Still wants to find those Rakans and Xin Shao's. Swapping over to Zhuangzi though. Okay, Zhuangzi has the mech online at this point.
Right. So Bobe thinking about transitioning, Zhuangzi with the mech, but can he make another low HP comeback? That's the question now. He's rolled down basically to nothing. He's had to go all in just to try to stabilize.
Yeah.
Where do you go from
the
here?
Victor?
Yeah.
Oh,
on the
okay.
mech?
Actually, yeah, okay, that's good.
Yep.
Zhuangzi playing a little bit greedy here. I would actually be tempted to Nico that Victor. You do have the Echo in shop right now, so that could become an Echo 2 next round. You have to live though, and Zhuangzi being on solo HP is a little bit worrying.
Yeah, the mech gets popped, and that Vayne 2 in the back from Lev D. Trotsky doing so much damage. Aurelia 2 got in there as well. And
actually,
it's going to be tough. Wow, do you think mech was the right call in a lobby with so many cybernetics players and so many things like Giant Slayers and things like that can just chew through the mech?
Yeah, perhaps not, but it is a comp that Zhuangzi kind of seemed to crutch on yesterday. He played only mech and pirates throughout all of the games. Does actually use the Nico for Echo there, but I wanted to point out another route that Zhuangzi could have gone. I think actually if he had Victor 2 last round, he would have won and not been in danger of dying to 1 loss. 11 HP, you might at this point though, especially versus someone as strong as Bobe.
You know, with the items he has on Victor, I would almost rather have a Victor 2 than an Echo 2.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Bit of a surprising decision there from Zhuangzi.
Okay.
Like
Echo pretty good though, apparently.
Bobe, though. Yeah, I mean, Echo 2 is still going to be really strong with those items. I do think the Victor 2 is probably better overall with the items that he's got access to, but strong either way. Bobe takes another big shot, and Zhuangzi manages to stay alive.
Yep. And just stay alive. Indeed, has the Aurelian Soul. You do like to fit an Aurelian Soul sometimes in mech composition, but doesn't really have the room for it here. Oh, Casey
Whoa,
double hit a
Teemo
Teemo 3. Yeah, so at the same time you did. That's exciting. We saw one lose yesterday, though, I believe, right? A Teemo
I was going to
3?
say, that's good for second place.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that was
Could
a
be a
Teemo
first,
3
though.
and a Mord 3, too, by the way. That game
true.
yesterday. Yep, that was actually Voltairix that played that game. And he had the Teemo 3, had the Mord 3, still couldn't win it. So we'll see. We'll see if Double 61 can succeed where his fellow EU player failed yesterday with the Teemo 3.
Oh man, this is a perfect transition. Thank you, TFT Matchmaking, for now showing Chuanzi versus Casey Double in that Teemo 3.
Yeah,
and it's
we
just
should swap
one-shotting
over there.
everything. 10k
Oh,
damage
he's
from
alive.
Teemo there. Oh man.
All right, so 2
Voltairix,
HP.
though, 8th place.
Yeah, Voltairix out in 8th. So Voltairix having an interesting start to the day. That was a 4th and an 8th now. So only 6 points total for him in the first 2 games. So a player that a lot of players were worried about coming into it, struggling. He is, even if he wins the next game, he's still not going to be at that threshold. And when it's taking you more than 3 games to get to the point where you can win, it's a little bit rough. So it's still on Lev D and Shoemaker to possibly get to that win threshold this game. They're the only 2 who can do it. Shoemaker can do it with a first. Lev D can do it with a first or a second. And item inventory overall. Starting to look like a regular game of League of Legends with all those items now.
Yeah, a little bit. Having that, 6-item power spike. But that is very interesting. The last time we did see a format like this, though, it did take 5 games. So with that in mind, Voltairix could still be okay. But
Totally.
if Lev D plays super well, or Shoemaker plays super well, gets another placement, then we could see it end in less than that for sure.
Want to make note of the 4 Infiltrator build that Zhuangzi has achieved now by creating Infiltrator Ziggs. So he's going to be in your backlines delivering the bombs at close range, I guess. Doesn't seem safe,
Yeah.
but it works.
I don't see, look at Ziggs and see a safe kind of unit there. Ziggs is kind of all
doesn't
about that destruction. He does not care at all.
No. Can
Ooh.
this Echo carry? Oh, that was
my,
very
that was
close.
so close.
Woo, you see Zhuangzi laughing about that one.
The
Yeah.
relief on Zhuangzi's face at that point. These are
Yep.
such stressful rounds going into this stage of the game when you are 1 hit potentially, well, definitely if you're Zhuangzi now, 1 hit from being eliminated.
Yeah. Couple players that won away. AlphaGo has a really good chance of being eliminated as well if he loses a round. Look at that, Nico 3 actually. And
Ooh.
Nico 3, that is a carry. That is like one of the best carries in the game right now, honestly.
Yeah.
Huge damage, huge CC, because she stuns you for longer the higher star level she is. So that's big.
Yeah,
All right,
Zephyr
can you stay
hitting
alive?
that Echo though.
Yep, it's going to slow things down a lot. Aurelia getting the back lines onto the Victor now. Victor getting a little bit of healing, doesn't survive though. The mech broken so fast, and this is just what the Cybernetics build does. And so this is going to be the end of the road for Zhuangzi, it looks like. That Rumble.
Unless...
Can he stun? No.
It's-
The Aurelia's got to win this. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Shoemaker knocks out Zhuangzi in 7th place, it looks like. So going to jump back on board with Shoemaker to see if he can stay alive. Meanwhile, Bobe, who we looked at earlier, want to point at the right side. He's the one separating himself from the pack right now at 44 HP. So he's been able to stay alive.
Yeah, that Bobe 1 cost unit composition there, really showing that strength. Man, Zhuangzi, it's so unfortunate that Zhuangzi was eliminated last round because that was potentially avoidable. If that Echo didn't get Zephyred, I think that would have gone the other way, and we'd still see Zhuangzi in this game.
You are 100% right on that, I think. Think about what 1 Echo ult would have done to some of the champions on the other side. So yeah, that's one of those rounds where you're like, all right, there was a lot of people left in the lobby. I was thinking about this, I was thinking about that. I could have positioned better, but hindsight's always 20/20. So double Giant Slayer on the Aurelia, interesting. Is there a world where you would have maybe put the Dragon's Claw on Aurelia instead? Is the survivability better than the second Giant Slayer?
I think not so much. There's not that many, or not that much magic damage that you need to really worry about to go on your carries. Like putting it on a Wukong, I think is fine. This might be the one. This might be the one matchup where you are worried about a little bit of magic damage. You have the TF3 cards coming through. Zoe doesn't do too much damage, but if that bubble does hit, it will do a little bit there.
Wow, look at all of these few things. Oh, the Ash Arrow just barely missed the Vayne. That could be pretty impactful. That Vayne not getting CC'd. One more Ash Arrow comes in. Oh, it was enough. All right. Giant Slayer, RFC, Zoe 3. What am I looking at here from Bobe? This build is wild. TF carry, Caitlyn carry. Like, this is just straight up, I'm going to just use these rerolls to the best of my ability. I'm going to buy every unit nobody else is using. I love this build. This is really interesting and really creative. Great way to use Big Bang, I think.
Oh, definitely. The concern was maybe there wouldn't be enough items for the damage dealers, but at this point, between the carousels and that Kane round, these carries are kind of itemized at this point. Caitlyn 3 items, Thieves Gloves on the TF, even a couple items on the Zoe here. They aren't the best for her, but they're still enough.
I mean, what items are even like good on Zoe? Nobody puts items on Zoe.
Yeah,
This is so interesting, though, because... And this is Teemo 3. I told you, Teemo 3 doesn't win games,
Teemo
apparently.
3 is
Double
losing.
61. We're down to possibly our top 3 here if Zlooper gets knocked out. No, he's going to win, and Levdi Trusky down to 1 HP. Our top 4 have been decided. Shoemaker out in 5th. But this board from Bobe, I want to watch this until the end, because this is just so cool to see in TFT, where... And you think back about how he played through this, it's gonna be it's really interesting because he prioritized itemizing his tanks early on to sustain, right? To preserve HP, to give him the chance to roll more. Once he had that stabilized, then he was able to prioritize the carries. And the only way you could really play that way is because we're in this Galaxy where you get so many more items than usual. So just I think the best we've seen this Galaxy played yet, in my opinion.
Oh,
Big Zephyr, though.
and even Big Zephyr on that Caitlyn. See how this fight goes. The Jana Tornado is huge there, CCing the whole team, but does come out as soon as the Echo ult comes out there as well, though, so not great there for Bobe. I think actually the Cyber composition looks like it's going to take this round.
I think so. TF, the damage in the end is not enough. I think if there's a Janna 2, and he's able to get like one more mana item for Janna, then I think he can win. But he needs that Janna 2, in my opinion.
There is potential Janna 2 right now. There's Janna with a glove. It would just make a Hand of Justice, which wouldn't be the best. But does decide to go that, it could be just exactly what you're talking about there, a Janna 2 diff. This is actually also super... Yeah,
because that's a Janna 2 for him now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Looking at these last couple of rounds, if Lev D manages to scrape at least a second here, he could actually take this within 3 games. Or Lev D, the one person who could afford to get a first or a second to have a chance to close it out next one.
Right.
It's real close, though. He's holding on at 1 HP.
Well, the Janna 3 dream is real. Double Janna, okay. He's got some items to use.
Yeah.
All right.
The Zephyr on the bench.
Yeah, I was going to say, Zephyr needs to go in now. Who's he got it on? It's so tough. Yeah. I mean, what else can you do? Everyone else had a bunch of items. Zoe would have maybe hit the Jhin, I think.
Yeah, it would have. It would have.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of indecision there by Bobe.
Yeah, little mistake there. And man, the Jhin is wiping things out. All right, well.
Yeah, that might have actually made the difference there.
Yeah, I think so. I think if that Jhin would have been Zephyred, maybe things would have gone a little bit differently. Bobe still has 12 HP left. Lev D out in 3rd, and that is huge because that means that Lev D is 1 point short of being able to win it in game number 3. So that means that nobody's got a chance to win it in game number 3 now. So at least see 4 games here, but for Lev D, man, what a stressful ending to that one, knowing you were so close to unlocking that 18-point threshold and having a chance to win it with a first from then on. That's big. That's really big, actually.
It is. We could see our final fight. Actually, we'll see our final fight of the game here. KC double against Bobe. Teemo 3 versus this 1-cost tier 3 composition.
That's right. Do it for Volterix. Get the Teemo 3 win.
It looks like he will, and pretty
He
decisively, actually, as
He
Casey
did it.
Double, the 16-year-old French player, taking game number 2. Super impressive performance there.
Yep, so there you go. Teemo 3 redemption for 61, or for double 61 from EU. Bobe out in second, but still much better than the 8D finish in game number 1. That was an exciting game, wasn't it?
Oh, definitely. There was so much that happened during that game. Really want to highlight, Bobe's comp there, but, you can't take it away from KC Double either. Playing Astro Snipers, it's a really strong composition in this meta. Played it super well. Had the econ, and because of that trade sector component, it was just that much easier to get that Teemo 3, which propelled him to the win.
Right, and we saw so many different people playing Cybernetics that game too, so a little bit of a bait almost. You know how good that build is, but going back and looking through what people played for the most part yesterday, it really did seem like Cybernetics was the choice for a lot of players. We probably saw more Cybernetics, I think, than anything else in terms of comps yesterday overall. So kind of natural that a lot of people would trend towards that, but lesson learned, I think, for a lot of those players. Like it's dangerous to go Cybernetics and Big Bang in this lobby.
It definitely is a strong composition, and it's definitely interesting to note that it is one of the more popular compositions. Maybe people are just more comfortable with it. It's kind of easy to pilot. You just fit that 6-piece synergy in there. There's not that much wiggle room, I suppose, in the transitions that you can make. We saw a little bit yesterday between putting Blitzcrank in over like a Wukong or a Third Blade Master or something, but that's about it.
Yeah. A lot to break down, and I can't think of anyone better to do just that than our very own Mort Dog. Let's send it over to him to hear what he has to say about those first 2 games.
A couple fights I wanted to point out. So this is in game 1. We're pretty far in the early game, or mid-game, and Volt is running a really nice Rebel comp. He's got the Ludens on the Ziggs, he's got the Fizz also, and he's got the Bramble Vest, which is going to allow him to have a good spread of damage. And so when the fight starts playing here, you'll be able to see that even up against a 3-star Xayah, this is going to be a very powerful comp, allowing him to continue his win streak into the PvE round, which will get him a ton of gold. And so you can see here the power of the Fizz ult that's going to come out, as well as these Ludens procs, and he gets the Xayah CC'd, and everything goes his way. And this ends up being a 9-game win streak later, getting him a lot of gold. Here we see Wanzi playing the Star Guardian comp, the comp that's kind of been the top tier comp in everyone's mind, but the power of Levdi's Blade Masters just plow through everything so fast, including the Nico, allowing him to access that backline, and this ends up eliminating Wanzi that game. So we can see that there are definitely comps out there that if you play them right and position correctly, you can beat even those S tier comps. Now this one in particular was really funny because it came down to sort of the support battle, and that very fast Janna, but the Janna just couldn't quite beat the power of the 2-star Lulu here. Next up, this was the final fight of Game 1, and I just wanted to call out the strength of 3-star Shen in this matchup. The 3-star Shen is eating up a lot of these Vayne bolts, and that's going to make the difference this fight. This is why something like an RFC on that Vayne might have made a big difference in that matchup, but instead, so much damage ends up wasted, and 3-star Shen does a lot of value here, allowing Levdi to take the win for the first game. As far as Bobe's comp, we wanted to call out, so in the TFT community, there's been a lot of debate about should you slow roll or should you hyper roll. Here we can see at 3-1, he chooses to hyper roll. Very quickly, he goes through his entire economy, rolling for those 1 costs that we're going to see later in the game, and he keeps going, and as you'll see here, looking for those snipers, he has what he wants in mind. He hits the Caitlyn, but he goes all the way down to 0 gold. And he knows he can do this because there's going to be a bunch more gold later. Finally, the last thing I want to call out is that TFT is a game where you have to make a lot of decisions very quickly. Here we see AlphaGo trying to do his roll down, and you can see the visible confusion and almost like, what am I doing? Trying to make these decisions because he has the Nikos, he has the Echo, he's got Aurelia he could be chasing, and he's really trying to think on the fly, and you only have 30 seconds to make these tough decisions, and so it can really come down to those last-minute decisions, which really, that's one of the things that people will look back and go, oh, you should have done this, you should have done that, but the reality is 30 seconds is not a lot of time to make these split-second decisions that can end up costing you. And in this fight, he does his best, and we can look back and maybe say should not done something else, and the end result of this fight is so close, it's got to be heartbreaking for AlphaGo, because despite everything he did, he's going to lose just by a little bit with only Annie alive at the end. So that's going to do it for me.
Oh, Mort, you're bringing back us to game number 1. It wasn't that long ago, but some differences between the two. One thing I want to ask you about is it was super cool seeing in the top 4 the different compositions. We had Cybernetics, Blade Masters, Star Guardians. So when it comes to balancing the patches for these past few patches, I know a priority was getting a stable place for the World Championship. What was that like compared to earlier on in the set when you're looking at kind of different ways in total to bring the direction?
Yeah, a lot of the time early on in the set, you're dealing with like trying to fix some of the bigger issues, and maybe you take some bigger swings, which cause some bigger shifts. But once we got through some of those bigger problems, then it all comes down to like nickel and dime changes. And what we've seen with TFT is the smallest change, you know, everyone memes on the 5 AD, but the smallest change can change the meta completely. And even without changing much, we saw a shift, you know, into the Star Guardian rise that we're seeing now, with us not really changing anything. So
yeah, a lot of those moments, you know, Gangplank, for instance, a little change here and there can shift him completely where he is in the meta. Talking on to game number 2, we did get to see new Big Bang once again, this Galaxy. So that is one of kind of the big shakers of this patch. And interestingly enough, even though he got second place, Bobe really brought together a composition we hadn't seen before. What are the things that you think are key in this Galaxy, considering how much it opens up?
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about this a bit yesterday, because when Sox played, he played the Zaya composition. But the reality of Big Bang is that you have so much extra resources and so many chances to reroll that you are going to have a very powerful comp at the end. And so something that wins in a normal Galaxy by being just a little bit stronger than everything else isn't going to cut it. You've got to chase something that's a big, powerful comp at the end. And so in Boba's case, he ran the 5 3-stars. That's a big high roll, but that's only possible because of Big Bang Galaxy. I would expect to see also some things like some 3-star champions, maybe some 3-star forecasts. Those are the things players should be chasing after to really go for that first place on Big Bang.
Yeah, Lev ended up getting 3rd instead of 2nd, so we could actually have even more games for more chances to get a Big Bang Galaxy here today. The winner of this game, though, ended up being KC61. As we've said before, the youngest competitor here, trying to make a mark at the age of 16, and had some hefty competition that he had to push through to do so. Those Astral Snipers really putting in the work for him in game number 2 and earning some great points for him in terms of the standings, as we're finally starting to see things shake out. Lev D holding strong in that top spot at 16 points, 2 away from putting himself in a position to try and grab a first place finish for an overall victory here in the championship. But everyone else has to be feeling pretty good about the fact that he didn't make that 18-point threshold, because it is going to allow the opportunity for everyone else to try to catch up, get to that point, and get to that first point finish. But we do have more games to come, hopefully more than just a few, so everybody stick on by, grab a soda pop or whatever rocks your socks, because it's more TFT Galaxy Championship coming at you right now. But if you need a snack with it too, don't forget that either, because if you're going to stay hydrated, you should also stay nice and hungry. I know some of us were eating towards the end of the day yesterday, so make sure you do it ASAP so you don't forget like we did. Peace, see you after the break.
born from light before there even was a dawn. So pure, so bright, falling from the skies above into our darkened fate. The time has come, walking through this world we bear the secret of our lives. The light we share, not in destiny we shine, for we are meant to be the star guardians. Gone in a flash before our time, up in the skies together. The vow we have made has kept us strong. Don't fade away, it's time to shine. Burning bright as we reach out for the same horizon. Burning brighter, we're running out of time, but chasing the light. Gone in a flash before our time, up in the skies together. The vow we have made has kept us strong. Don't fade away, it's time to shine. Burning bright as we reach out for the same horizon. Burning brighter, piercing through the dark, we've been on and on and on. The thought of us stuck in my
Welcome back to the TFT Galaxies Championship. My name is Tigress, and I'm joined here by Crowan, Primal, and Becca. Doe will be joining us once again later in the broadcast. Primal, it's your first time on here today. What did you make of the first two games?
Oh man, Pobe, so creative. You know, that reroll Jarvan Kate comp is something I've seen before a bit earlier in the set, but it's not something I've seen since then, so I'm pretty surprised to see him bring that out in a tournament. It makes me wonder if he actually prepared that specifically, knowing he might be playing Big Bang. So I love to see people go and pick out comps that no one's even thinking about and use them to dominate lobbies.
Love seeing new things on literally the last day that we get to see a competition on this set, and they're still keeping us on our toes. Becca, I know now we have seen another Big Bang Galaxy. Yesterday, we kind of had to soak it all in when it first appeared on the broadcast. What did you make of the adaptation from the players?
Yeah, I remember, I think it was Kyun talking about the reroll Kate comp being just way too high roll to actually go for consistently, and yeah, him bringing it out on the correct Galaxy was nice to see.
And in the end, I think a lot of people thought that Bobe was going to take the win based on how he was playing that, but it was an Astral Sniper composition that came through for the victory. Crowan, we didn't see a lot of that yesterday, a bit more towards the end of the day, but would you consider it kind of one of the staple comps that most people go to, even if it is a little difficult to achieve at times?
Yeah, I think Astro Snipers is something on everyone's mind in this competition. Of course, getting Teemo 3, is just going to propel you to the victory. More often than not, we did see yesterday that wasn't the case at one point. Shaco too good, but Casey double piloted that amazingly in the last game.
Yeah, piloted that amazingly, and today will be the last day that we pilot a rocket ship here in Galaxies, because tomorrow we will be changing our fate. And ahead of the Fates showcase, our partners over in China did have a video prepared for us. Let's take a look. All I'm saying is if some kind of tunnel appeared in my room and some little legends tumbled down it into my presence, I'd be pretty happy. I know during rehearsal, Becca, we actually saw a little legend of yours, a doggo, running around. But how excited are you to experience the new set starting tomorrow with a full showcase?
I definitely got to play a couple games on PBE, and it is insanely fun. I think Riot did such a good job switching it up completely again, and the characters are so unique, and I just can't wait to play more.
Oh, yeah. And the showcases are a lot of fun. Becca knows, having participated in ones for the previous sets. Our 8 finalists that are competing today will be competing tomorrow to showcase the Fates set. But Crowan and Primal, I do want to get your thoughts on Fates 2 a bit. Primal, have you been playing it a lot?
I have. It's kind of just a fiesta right now because I have no idea what the synergies are or the unit effects, so I'm kind of just for funning it for now. But I agree with Becca. I love the theme. It feels good to be back on some sort of terrestrial landscape instead of out in the cold, dark space. And I think some of the synergies are really, really fun to play. I have a lot of fun with playing Mage, like Ari dropping Spirit Bombs. Just feels super cool. So excited to dive in more.
I think one of the challenging things for all the TFT fans is balancing the excitement for Fates coming to be, but also giving the close out for the set that we have here today. Galaxies being what our current participants are playing on. And as far as the standings go, we've seen some people show out pretty effectively here at the top. No consistent winners grabbing the #1 spots, but still we know that Lev D has 16 points here at the top. A couple other players hoping to have a better fate in the next game. Crowan, is there any surprises as far as who is kind of hovering at the bottom, maybe?
Oh yeah, definitely. Voltairix hovering at the bottom with 6 points right now is a huge surprise to, I think, a lot of people coming into day 2 today as one of the favorites to perhaps win this tournament. Going to need to see some improvements in performance from him in the next few games.
There are a lot of EU fans that are standing behind him, hoping that he will take the #1 spot. Another one, Zhuangzi, if we're looking at this player, Becca, he was able to pull a lot of victories yesterday. And it seems like today, even though he was able to make the top 4 in the second game, kind of a reliance going towards the mech as well as Space Pirates we saw before. Do you think that Zhuangzi will be able to turn it around and try and get some of that domination that he showed earlier in the lobby yesterday?
Well, he's definitely shown that he's capable of winning lobbies, so I don't think we can count him out, especially with the way the point system works. But yeah, definitely EU showing up big time. I mean, with the exception of Volt, maybe Caster Curse for everyone favoring him here. Just Lev and Devil, they're killing it.
And as far as the game to come, Becca, you and I are going to step away, but Crowan and Primal will be taking the reins as we go into game #3.
Oh man, and what a way to take it away. We have a spatula full carousel with the Big Bang Galaxy. Primal, oh man, what's going through your head when you see something like this?
What's going through my head is we're going to have at least several people forcing Cybers and trying to make Infiltrator Aurelia a thing, and at least one person is going to be going for Master Yi reroll. It's interesting, right? Because this is Big Bang, which already combines 3 galaxies, and then we also basically got Manatee Galaxy through this first carousel, so this is going to be a funny game.
True, we had last game, I believe it was the, Nicoverse, but just for AlphaGo, but now it's Manatee for everybody on top of this. I don't think we've seen, we haven't, out of the first couple of games, anyone go for that Master Yi composition, but if you see a spat start here, you're definitely going to be looking towards that, or at least considering it. Cybers as well, though, as Cybers has been one of the compositions that people have been favoring a lot. Do you think that I guess you do think that we'll be seeing a lot more of that?
I think we'll be seeing a lot of it. I don't know if we'll be seeing a lot more because I think some players kind of had a hard game from trying to run Cybers super contested last time. And I think now everyone realizes because Cybers is so good on this Galaxy, it's going to be contested. So you might see some people try to pivot into things that counter Cybers. Like I'd like to see more people play Star Guardians. You could even choose to make a Star Guardian spat or Protector spat if you want to try to snowball early. So I'm curious to see how people read the past few games and make adjustments.
True. I don't think we traditionally usually see either Star Guardian or Protector spats that much recently, at least from what I've noticed. Have you sort of seen the same?
Sometimes I see some weird stuff, like people run Protector Darius or Shaco early. just because those are actually really strong win streak units who you can make. And Protector Spat is not the greatest spat late game, but it'll help you save a lot of HP and generate a lot of income mid and early. So sometimes I see that. Star Guardian Spat, though, I agree, you see it less often. And then some people will just keep it simple and make a Force of Nature.
Oh, true. I think we'll definitely see a lot of Force of Nature this game, especially with that Treasure Trove component of Big Bang. A lot of loot orbs. Will be definitely seeing some more spats. Zhuangzi, though, as we see here, has the good Cyber start, but it's not a composition that he has really played too much, though. I wonder if he's comfortable with that or not.
Yeah, he's got to be comfortable with it as a high-level player. You know, I was actually a little disappointed to see Zhuangzi play mech last game because I don't think mech is particularly good on Treasure Trove, because I think a lot of comps utilize items better because there's not that many different carries in mech. I guess if you get good Shaco items, he can kind of be your third carry. So I'd like to see Zhuangzi sort of read the lobby a little bit better and sort of play something that he is maybe not quite as good at, but is more appropriate for the complexion of the lobby. But yeah, what do you feel about sort of the composition choices he's been making? Because we've only really seen him play 2 comps.
Yeah, there's a lot of day one, just mech and pirates. We did see him play 1 game of Star Guardians, but even that seemed a little bit shaky, at least to me. He was at 4 HP, about to go 8th, but barely hung on. I believe it was a 7-round win streak to get up to 3rd. He has shown that he is willing to play other compositions, but still maybe isn't as comfortable as he would like to be. Cyber composition, though, I was talking a little bit earlier to Doa about. It's one that's pretty easy to pilot. There's not too many things that you're going to get confused on there, and of course all these players are going to know how to run these things, being, you know, top level players and representing their regions at the World Championships here.
For sure. And right now, man, he's hitting these cybers. So at least for the mid game, he's a cybers player. We'll see if he chooses to leave that later in the game due to either comfort or too many people playing it. But generally with cybers, if you can get the early Leona and the Fiora, wow, that's a really great signal. Oh, wow. Okay, so he chooses to just play the Vayne straight up, which I actually like. It's easy enough to get the Lucian. You're not going to leave the Lucian until you're looking to run 6 cybers anyway, and even by then you might already have Aurelia and Echo. I like this play because he gives him Sniper, gives him a stronger early board, and he goes level 5, which you can do on Treasure Trove variants, and just try to win streak as hard as humanly possible. So I like it, Zhuangzi. Keep it up.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is so aggressive. I don't know if we've actually seen anyone go to level 5 on 2-2 this entire tournament. Usually people are going to 5. It's going to be after the Stage 2 carousel, maybe 1 round before, like on 2-3 here. But Zhuangzi doing it so early, even opting to sell the Lucian pair in order to do that. I guess he really prioritizes this win streak here. Is struggling to see whether he wants to play the Graves or the Poppy, you know, the Vanguard synergy over just a tier 2 unit, but is choosing to sell and hopefully even make Econ. Wow, it's just actually so much gold here.
Yeah, he's so rich. He's so rich. And yeah, that was an interesting decision. Arguably, the Graves is a little bit better. It kind of depends on how much physical damage there is early, because Poppy doesn't really do all that much at 1 star. But this allows him to make money, so it's actually not as all-in as one would think. The beautiful thing about, you know, Big Bang and Treasure Trove is you get so much gold that you can afford to play aggressively and not put yourself all in. So I like this play from Zhuangzi. I like it a lot.
Definitely. I think it's a bit calculated. If you're going to want to just play strongest board, not care about your econ, then you might play that Graves, but thinking, okay, I'm strong enough to still win streak, being at level 5 before everybody else, so I can choose to sell the Graves, play Vanguards, which is still a solid synergy, and be rewarded kind of in both ways there.
Yeah. Crone, did Pobe just make a Rebel spat straight up? I think that's what we saw.
You know, I believe so. That is interesting. We see 4 Rebel synergy on that left-hand side there. Pobe committing super early to that. Do you like committing a Rebel spat this early in the game?
I do not like committing Rebel spat this early in the game, but because here's the thing with Rebels. It's just not really an S-tier comp. It really struggles late game versus some of the more traditional comps, and particularly on this Galaxy, where the more traditional comps are going to hit their items and probably their units as well. I think he's going to fall off. That said, you know, Pobe, he knows he needs multiple games in order to hit that 18-point threshold. So he only really needs to top 4 from here. He doesn't need a first necessarily. So I think it's a decent play for a top 4, maybe a top 3 if you high roll the Jinx and the Gangplank items. But yeah, this is pretty unorthodox. This is pretty different, and I like it.
Speaking of high rolling, Pobe here has 8 Ziggs at 2-5, so probably going to hit that in the very near future. Not going to be, that Shaq and Kobe style composition that we saw before that blue buff change, but still one blue buff there is going to be pretty strong, especially once Pobe finds a Rumble as a bit of a frontline and for that Demolitionist buff. Going to be huge there.
Yeah. And you know what? I was wrong, Krillin, because if he already has this many Ziggs, he figures, all right, I'm just going to play a Ziggs 3 early game, and maybe I can streak so hard that late game it just doesn't even matter that I'm playing one of the weaker comps. So you know what? I think this is actually a really smart play and shows that he's actually just willing to play what he's given. I'm pretty sure Pobe didn't go into the Big Bang planning to play Kate reroll last game, but that's what he hit.
Oh,
and he's flexible as a player, so he can sort of just pivot accordingly.
I think that's a super good point. I think the flexibility of Pobe here is being demonstrated immensely. I'm sure you didn't go into those games prepping for that Caitlyn. You didn't go into this game prepping, oh, I'm going to get 8 Ziggs, by 2-5, but here we are. Also a good point that you brought up about not needing to first place yet, not at 18 points, just needs to get some solid placements to be able to get that first later on. But I mean, Pobe has definitely shown that he can, win games, came really close to it last game, which is why I say that. Of course, he didn't end up winning, but still has that capability for sure.
Mm-hmm. And Crone, one thing that's interesting here is, first of all, Zhuangzi, he did drop around. Zhuangzi's actually not that strong. You can see he's even struggling right here, where Pobe is level 4 and almost beating him. I do think he's going to lose. But Pobe, despite him win streaking, is choosing to stay at 4, presumably because he wants to slow roll or hyper roll and hit that Ziggs. Maybe he's also looking to hit the Malphite. So it's interesting that he chose not to lean into his win streak there, because he could have generated a lot of gold going into this round.
He definitely could have. Maybe would have been more worth it, because even on level 5, you're probably going to hit that Ziggs 3 eventually. Being on 4 does give you, that 15%, I believe, more chance to find 1-cost units in the shop, because it goes down to 40 at level 5. But I don't think the Malphite 3 is something that, personally I would commit for. Once you hit that Ziggs, you can push levels, find those Jinxes, go to level 8 and 9. We were talking about the fact that this Rebel composition does struggle to find wins, but one of the win conditions is going to level 8 and level 9 and finding a Gangplank 2 to really carry your late game there. So I'm not sure if I quite agree with this from Pobe, but it's still working out decently well. Still has about 40, almost 50 gold. Now he does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Not only is the Malphite 3 not super impactful, and he only had, I think, 4 Malphites at the time. In addition to that, he had a huge win streak that he could have carried forward. So yeah, he is going to hit the Ziggs now. He did some re-rolling, but it's kind of a weird play because he's got 6 Rebels right now, which is awesome. But he's going to be able to win streak now. He could have been win streaking already and made a lot more gold. But I think he's still in a really comfortable position. You're never mad about 98 HP.
No, you're not. Going up against AlphaGo here. AlphaGo is the only player to still be on 100 HP, fully win streaking. That Death Blade Lucian 2 with red buff as well might even beat the 6 Rebel early power spike here we see from Pobe. It's gonna be close.
Yep. Lucian's a good unit. Okay. Not good enough though. So I guess him hitting that 3-star is basically the difference maker in this particular fight. But yeah, AlphaGo wins level 6, right? So Bobe is actually under leveled relative to some of the people we're facing. The first time he was under leveled and he got punished, but not this time. So he's still in a pretty comfortable spot. And I guess, Crone, when you look at the Ziggs, do you think that's just a unit you keep all games, sort of like you used to in the old Shaq and Kobe comp?
I think so. The only argument would be to perhaps drop it for an Aurelian Soul 2, but I think that's only really if you have Ludens. Like with the blue buff, it's not going to be insanely powerful for an Aurelian Soul, and I think Ziggs will get more value out of that. He's going to be casting very often. You're going to have Demolitionist synergy in there, so he'll be stunning out a lot of frontline units there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting to me that Pobe's also choosing not to commit a red buff right now, just for the win streak. I know that if you're playing this comp, you ideally want 2 chains, one for the red buff and one for the Guardian Angel. But that said, in this Galaxy, it's pretty easy to get another chain. So I'd actually like to see him consider just slamming a red buff for the Jinx, because presumably he's not going to be making Morellos, otherwise he would have already made it. So I'm curious to see why he's holding on to items.
Definitely. I mean, yeah, the aggressiveness of sliding the Rebel Spat, you would think that the red buff would be slammed. Maybe just thinking it's not value enough right now, and maybe if, say theoretically, he gets a sword from the next carousel, could make a GA for a bit of a better power spike right now, because you're not going to have any blasters to spread that red buff, like we see Slooper here actually have that red buff on the Ezreal and the Graves for that blaster bonus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it looks like Slooper might be going for a Battlecast reroll game here. This is also a popular comp to go for when you get a spat. You make a early Battlecast spat, which is actually fantastic early because it allows you to get a 4 Battlecast. Extremely strong synergy in stage 2 and 3. But unfortunately, he hasn't hit any Kog'Maws yet. So he's really, really far from hitting 9 Kog'Maws. He's going to have to rely on Alawi, Nocturne, and Malphite to do work. But the good news is he's one off of the Graves 3. So he'll have the units to sort of carry until he eventually hits a Cog. And at this point, he might just say, you know what, we're not going to be hitting Cog 3 anytime soon. I'm just going to push levels after I hit my other 3 stars.
Yeah, I think that would definitely be what Slooper is going to lean towards. And I actually want to highlight just a small decision that Slooper made this game. He started the game off with a spatula on that Alawi. And what he's going to want to do here, assuming he is going to continue forward with this Battlecast line, is going to make that Battlecast spat on the Alawi to pop it off, not have to find one more Alawi because he would have sold that initial one. So I think it's just some really good, minute decision-making here that could end up going a long way if he's able to find that Alawi soon and start win streaking, because he does need to start win streaking soon. No Kog'Maw is a little unfortunate. He's already at 49 HP right now.
Yeah, and Slooper needs some big wins. He doesn't have that many points right now. He has 9, but other people are closing in on that 18-point threshold. So I think from this point, I'm glad that he's found a comp that he wants to commit to, but would like to see him play a little bit more with what he's given and look for a higher placement, because now if he starts low rolling and starts not hitting his units, he's going to struggle to get the points that he needs. But he did hit that Graves 3. He is going to stabilize, I think, off of that Graves 3. He can make the Battlecast spat, throw that on the Graves this round, and get it back off of Alawi for free. And Graves is super, super good with Battlecast spat, can do a lot of damage and really, really tanky. So I think he's going to stabilize now.
Yeah, I would hope so. Slooper is interesting. Okay. Yeah, man. It's going to actually probably prove to be detrimental in terms of losing this round here. Juan Z with those cybernetics. Actually already committed to a Blade Master Vayne there. Blade Master and Last Whisper. Graves blinding her out for a little bit there, but Slooper takes another loss, and a pretty big one at that. So now I was going to highlight the fact that Slooper is comfortable with going Battlecast. He went Battlecast in game number 1 and got 5th place there. Hopefully be able to get it a little bit better here, but man, it's still looking rough, Primal. What do you think when you're in this position and you're 40 HP before Wolves, maybe even going to be lower potentially? Would you want to have seen him spend gold more aggressively to find that Kog'Maw earlier, or kind of what direction would you have gone there?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, he's going into the creep round. He has a huge loss streak, so he's probably not going to spend now. But the moment he gets to 4-1, he needs to drop some gold and push some levels. I don't think he should go for Cog at this point. He should just probably try to pick up the Alawi, also pick up the Malphite or Nar2, whichever one he hits. And then he wants to get 6 Battlecast in ASAP. The saving grace for him is that he does have a Battlecast spat, so he does not need Urgot in order to go 6 Battlecast. He just needs the Cassiopeia and the Victor, and Urgot would be a nice high roll. And then I think he can stabilize from that point. But unfortunately, with this amount of HP and not amazing items, I think he's playing for top 4 already.
Yeah, I think so, which might end up being okay. No one's within threat of ending it all right here. We will at least see a game number 4. Lev D, who is at the top of the lobby in terms of standings, is only at 16 points right now. But Shoemaker kind of taking a page out of Pobe's book from the last game. This is very interesting. Is this going to work out as well as Pobe's comp did?
I don't know. I mean, I think his items are a little bit better, actually, because I think generally when you're playing this comp, you want like something like a Runon's Deathblade Kate is super strong when she's at 3 stars. She just hits like an absolute truck. He already has the Runons there. He has an extra bow in case he just chooses to go to Giant Slayer or something else. So I think he's actually in a comparable spot. I don't know. Honestly, I don't play this comp enough to know sort of what happens if you don't hit all 5 3-stars like Pobe did last game. I'm pretty sure you can't take a first or even a top 2 without them. And he's a little bit farther away. But I think his items are a little bit better than Pobe's were.
Yeah, I do think so. I'm not very familiar with this, or piloting this comp myself, but choosing to make double Rage Blade on the Ashe there and taking a huge hit. Slooper spent enough gold to find those 3-stars, has made a red buff and a Shiv on the Kog'Maw, and that dealt so much damage. That's really good for Slooper to stabilize, but really bad for Shoemaker to take that large hit there. Has another item?
I don't...
Oh no, actually, maybe that's...
Oh, he has an item!
Go ahead.
Shoemaker, pick it up! Pick it up! Oh, I was hoping it was a sword. You know, you ever have that moment where it's like you got so many items and you forgot one mid-fight, and then you pick it up and you realize it's the one you need? I have those moments for sure. But it's great that Showmaker is starting to hit his stuff. It's kind of weird to me that he slammed double Rage Blade, but I guess he's thinking, okay, if I can get a Shojin's on this Ashe and just keep her safe, she's going to perma-stun entire teams. Triple Zephyr, you hate to see that.
Triple Zephyr, wow.
Oh man,
oh man, it hits so many of the good units there. It hits the Ashe with the 2 items, it hits the Jarvan and the Rakan frontline. Oh man.
That's a money triple Zephyr. As Shoemaker at this point, you just gotta focus on not getting tilted, because it's like, what can you even do there, right? I doubt Lev D was even focusing him. It's just, the thing is, when you have triple Zephyr, you're guaranteed to hit at least one good thing. So that was a bit of a low roll for Shoemaker. Pretty unfortunate.
Yeah, definitely. But I love the transition over here to watch Lev D. Lev D has played so well in the first couple of games and is continuing to do so right now in game number 3 at the top of the lobby on a 9-win streak right now. Push levels very aggressively. Still has 40 gold, level 8 on 4-3, triple Zephyr. Lev D's putting himself in a spot where he could win this lobby potentially.
He could. My only concern with Lev D, and I don't think it's a mistake to play this way, given that he already has 16 points, he only needs a few more, is that it's going to be hard for him to take a thirst, because he has triple Zephyr. I'm guessing he just got way too many belts and too many cloaks, but he doesn't have many swords or bows to actually itemize damage on Vayne. So I think he's going to start to fall off heavily late game unless he gets a really, really good set of items from the next PvE round. But again, Lev D, he understands what his win con, which is, I don't need to win, I just need to make a few points. Honestly, he doesn't even need to top 4. So I love the way that Lev D is playing right now, just saving as much HP as possible to guarantee the chance that he gets the additional 2 points he needs to unlock his win condition.
Definitely. I really like that insight, because maybe, you know, Lev D will fall off late game and wouldn't be able to get a win, but he doesn't need a win right now. He just basically needs a couple more points and then be able to win during the next game. There is still the fact that this is Treasure Trove, so you'll get a lot of components from the Raptors round. He does pick last in the carousel, so no sword yet. I believe he picked up a vest there on that Soraka. Has a Gangplank in the shop, but doesn't need that in this composition here. Finds Irelia though, that's good. Oh, actually, there he has Irelia too, never mind. He's actually super ahead.
Yeah, he is. And he has 2 Force of Natures, actually. Man, that's he could just pretty much throw units at the problem. He's like, all right, I don't have good items, but I'm just gonna keep throwing bodies at you. I'm gonna win through a war of attrition. So I like the fact that Lev D is just playing around the fact that he's honestly kind of low rolling in terms of comp and matching comp to items. But I think he's doing some creative stuff. Like, in addition to having the triple Zephyr, he's also playing a Blitzcrank. So, I mean, if you're his opponent and you look at his board, you're like, I'm not even going to try to outposition this guy, because no matter what, I'm going to get screwed. So Lev D, not only playing for his win condition, which is just he needs 2 points, also being a psychological terrorist for the rest of the lobby.
Oh, definitely. Like, you're gonna position against, you know, Lev D specifically is gonna mean you're gonna ruin your position for everybody else just so much, so not wanting to put too much investment there. Zephyr is gonna be hitting no matter what. Even has a Fizz too to just chill on the bench. Thresh is gonna be pulling that in. It's pretty fortunate that he is able to have hit a Thresh at this point, have that Irelia too. Of course, he's a couple of Vaynes away from tier 2 there. But still, like, really good way to play the game so far with the items that he did get.
Absolutely, and it's kind of funny because he is contested here. So there is also the problem of will you hit any veins at this point of the game. So I think at this point, Lev D is probably just going to look to not focus so much on the comp and what synergies he wants, because he can pretty much fit whatever he needs. And I expect to see him throw some random units that he hits, like random 4 costs and 5 costs. If you roll down and you hit a Jhin, we're playing a Jhin, right? Because it doesn't really cost him anything in terms of synergies, and just secure the highest placement he can. So really creative. I wonder what his plan is for that tier and that chain. I guess he figures maybe I can make some nice utility items like a redemption, which is super good in Cybers. So yeah, he's showing how to play a low roll basically.
Yeah, definitely. Lev D, actually, speaking of Jhin, had a couple of Jhins in the last shot, bought them, rolled again, but ended up selling them, so isn't going to want to quite go that route. We'll see what items that Lev D gets from these Arc Raptors, because it's so important, talking about the need of BF swords. Is he going to get one here? Is this Vayne going to actually be able to be itemized well enough to carry? We'll find out in just a second here.
Let's see. We got bow. We got another belt. Rod. Oh no, these items suck.
They really do. You hate to see it if you're Lev D right now. Do you slam like Rage Blade on Vayne? Like, what do you do at this point with these items?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you just throw up your hands. You say, we're making lockets. I'm going to throw a Rage Blade on Vayne maybe and try to get another decent item off of Carousel. I'd like to see him make a Frozen Heart and actually just put it on. I would like to see it make a Frozen Heart and just put it on Fizz and play Fizz, but I guess he can't fit Fizz in if he wants to keep 4 Chrono. So Redemption makes a lot of sense too. But this is like the thickest, tankiest comp I've ever seen, but has 0 damage whatsoever.
Yeah, unfortunate. Making the Titan's Resolve and that Lucian there. These items are so unfortunate. Volteriux, though, playing that Xayah Shredder Blademaster composition, and it looks so strong, actually. A lot of 3 stars there, and Volteriux took that round super decisively.
Yeah, and Volteriux, he's been having an uncharacteristically poor day so far. Nice to see him rallying. He's up there, 2nd place in HP. As Mort noted, comps like this that are only slightly better than the more meta non-reroll comps are not necessarily optimal in Big Bang. However, if you hit the comp early enough, you can sort of snowball and then go late, find random 5 costs, get a Thresh 2, and make a strong bench. So I'm curious to see how Volteriux makes sure that his comp keeps pace with everyone else in the lobby.
Yeah, we will see. Checking back in with Pobe here, though. Ooh, not really putting in the unit that he wanted, I believe. Maybe he wanted to put in a Fizz instead, not sure. But either way, this Ziggs now has 3 items and is only a Jinx 1 with a Blademaster Spatula and a Runans. That's not going to be super optimal as we see Volteriux again, but this time decisively taking down Pobe. Pobe dropping at 20 HP. A little bit worrying right now. Like, does have a Gangplank, but not a lot of gold, though.
Yeah, I think this just shows how, a comp that used to be good, it can fall off majorly, and there's a reason why Kobe and Shaq doesn't get played anymore. I think when it was super OP, it was because you could put double blue buff on Ziggs and he just perma ult, and it was the most obnoxious thing ever. Thank God Riot removed that ability, but now he can't really carry late game, right? Because he just doesn't ult often enough to keep up with upgraded 4 costs and 5 costs. Additionally, although I don't hate GP having Rebel in center, so he gets his ult off as quickly as possible, but now he's forced to keep him clustered with the team.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit confused here. Pobe was running like 8 Rebels for a round there. Didn't really realize, I think, that he had the Rumble still in and didn't need that because he already had the Demolitionist synergy. And this round, oh man, almost actually getting taken out there by KC double. Astro Snipers again. It's just, I wonder if it's too... I guess greedy for Pobe to rush 9, because he could have accomplished what he does or what he has right now at level 8, and maybe rolling a Jinx 2 would have been important.
Agreed. I think he definitely could have looked for the Jinx 2. At the end of the day, he still needs other carries besides this Ziggs. I think he baited himself a little bit by getting the Gangplank, but he doesn't really get all that much from leveling in terms of synergies here. So it's really expensive to go level 9, and you have to think about, okay, that's 66 gold that I'm going to invest. Is that better invested in my current board? And I think the answer in this case would have been yes, probably. But so this comp is already hard to sort of win lobbies with. When you also have items on suboptimal units like a Ziggs late, it's really, really hard to even top 4. But it's still possible.
Yeah,
there it
definitely
is.
Possible. Fortunately for Pobe, hits the Jinx too. Probably actually puts a Star Guardian spatula on Jinx, so she'll be able to deal true damage. That might be something that can save Pobe here.
Yeah, I think that would be a good move. Make sure that she doesn't have any issue with Bramble Vest or just high resistance. And yep, there he goes. He slams it. I think at this point, he's just trying to make whatever he can work because he realizes his comp has fallen off relative to other comps. And unfortunately, he never hit a Guardian Angel for Gangplank. So Gangplank is struggling to get multiple ults off. It looks in this fight, was he going to win? Okay, he's in there. Is that it? Oh, is that top 4?
Yeah.
No, it's top 5. Okay,
Not
but he should
quite.
still be pretty happy with that considering the spot he was in.
Oh, definitely. Juan Z, though, going 8th place. A little bit reminiscent of his, last couple of games yesterday. A little bit of a struggle here. Shoemaker, AlphaGo as well. Man, this lobby is really, really kind of turned on its head, but something that is pretty consistent is that the European players are doing so well. All 3 of them are top 3 in this lobby right now, Primal. What do you make of that?
Is there like a chant for Europeans? Like, you know how you have USA? It's like EU.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound very cool, but yeah, Europe, they're really good. And if people want to say EU greater than NA in Twitch chat, it's kind of hard to clap back at that. But really, really impressive performance from all 3 of these players. Voltarius, we saw dominate day 1, and now he's sort of hitting his stride day 2. Lev D. Trotsky, despite having a pretty low roll game, still in first place. I would actually love to see what he transitioned his board into, because he's managed to not fall off tremendously. So the flexibility of the European players really coming into play.
Oh, definitely. You cannot count out Brazil, though, with Slooper. Slooper has managed to get 8 battle casts, and that's something that we were talking about a decent amount yesterday with battle cast synergy. You're not really going to be dominantly winning lobbies unless you get 8 battle cast. We see Slooper right now on a 6 win streak, has an Urgot 2, didn't go for that Kog'Maw 3 like you said earlier, but instead chose to push levels, and I think he's in a great spot right now in this lobby.
I totally agree. And in addition to having the Urgot 2, he found a blue buff, which is awesome because it'll allow Urgot to get even more ults. And Urgot, if he just gets to a point where it doesn't even matter who his team is, he just 1v9s. If you position him correctly, he'll just keep ulting, keep getting mana cost reductions, and becomes a huge threat. Now he goes 9, he gets Fizz in there, so he gets Infiltrator as well. I love the spot the Slooper is in. He could potentially win the lobby from this point. So really, really well played by Slooper.
I definitely agree. Wait, KC double hit Teemo 3 again? What?
How? Is he just uncontested every game? Like, what's going on here?
I guess so. I think actually he is uncontested for multiple games in a row. KC double showing that prowess on the Astral Snipers composition to get to a point where he can reroll so much. He just hits that Teemo 3 so consistently. I feel like saying hitting Teemo 3 inconsistently shouldn't be in the same sentence, but it is here for KC double.
See, in Big Bang, any dream can come true. Even Teemo 3, me no scout, me no pivot. So I guess that's doubles his go for strategy, because look, if everyone else was playing Cybers, right, Astral Snipers appears to be completely open. Teemo at 3 is incredibly strong and pretty much just one-shots whoever he comes in contact with. There are threats to him, though. If Super manages to get a nice Urgot ult on the Teemo, then it's the fight's doomed immediately. So I'd like to just see Super use really good positioning to take care of things. But right now, the Teemo 3, he has a Karma, he has a whole team surrounding him. He's in a pretty safe position.
Yeah. All these compositions are so strong at this point here as we see KC double go up against Voltarius. EU versus EU right now. Teemo 3 is going to be enough to... Oh man, that was a huge Gnar ult there. With the
so
Teemo
good.
Shroom synergy, it takes out pretty much everything. A little bit of a miss on those Shrooms there, but it does not matter. These items are so good too. Double Giant Slayer, Trap Claw on the Jhin, got that blue buff, Lud's Morella's on the Teemo, and even the Ashe has a RFC Shojin's. Like, this is just all so good. It's really panning out for double here.
Yeah, and in addition to all that, he has a Zephyr Blitz, right? And late game, that's a huge deal. Very, very hard to position around. To your point, the double Giant Slayer Jhin might actually even be out-damaging the Teemo at this point, particularly versus some of those tanky units like an Alawi 3. So this is actually a kind of a dream item scenario for double, and what you would look for when you're playing on a map like Big Bang.
Yeah, definitely. We have our final 2 here, but it won't end. Both players have high enough HP. Oh,
this
man.
Teemo, man. Oh
It's
my
so
god, this
insane.
Teemo.
Look at the shrooms.
This Teemo is insane.
Man,
Okay,
that
so
is
it turns out
insane.
Teemo 3 is pretty good, Crone.
Yeah.
Kind of does a lot of damage. What do you do from this point if you're Slooper?
So a couple of things. The Jhin damage, as you said, it was strong. The Jhin damage actually matched the Teemo damage there, even though, you know, it's big numbers as we see when all the shrooms fly out though. But if you're Slooper, I think it goes back to exactly what you said earlier. Urgot positioning. Urgot has to be able to hit this Teemo, but look at KC Double's positioning right here in protecting all those units. Even has Ashe not in the backline, so she is specifically in front of where Urgot would pull Teemo. This is an insane position choice here, and I think it might be why if doubles win, or if KC Double wins this lobby, it might be why.
Exactly, and you know, I think Slooper realizes his win condition, which is get the Fizz and the Nocturne on this Teemo. The one weakness of Double's positioning right now is that he does have all his carries in one place, but unfortunately the Teemo just nukes everything and no one gets to play. Oh, is that Urgot with the pull? Urgot with the pull! Okay, I don't think that's enough though, because Jhin is just as much of an issue, and it looks like Double is going to be able to take this game.
Man, that was crazy. The exact thing that needed to happen did, but it still wasn't enough. Jhin was just so much of a threat, and the Ashe there at the end as well. Man, that was so well played there by KC Double.
Yeah, and you know, Slooper, he played super well as well, right? We saw that he had like an Ezreal as an item holder for Cog. He was in a weird spot of having like 7 or 8 Alawis and no Kog'Mas, but he decided, you know what? I don't need Cog 3 to win this game. Let me just push levels, recover from this point, and win struck to a second. So really well played by both players.
Oh, definitely. Counting that, you know, Slooper still very much has a chance in this event. Just, you know, going to 40 HP, so low, but maintaining that, you know, just composure in rerolling, hitting what you need to, it's just so good. We're going to check out a couple of highlights here from those previous games. I think the first one here is Pobe. No, actually, it's going to be AlphaGo. With those cybernetics, and the Lucian here is just so strong. But Pobe on the other side, oh, actually it is Pobe. He does have the blue buff on the Ziggs, just from AlphaGo's perspective here.
Yeah,
but man, yeah, that Ziggs
it's
super
what we saw
strong.
but flipped. Yeah, there we go. It's what we saw
Exactly.
but flipped. So it's a little confusing, but yeah, nice transition into 6 Rebels by slamming the Rebel spat early to help win streak. And then Voltarius, who we were talking about playing Shredder this game, which didn't do super well the previous game, but popped off. He hit the Xayah 3 on time, was able to sort of just melt through teams like butter, secure a nice top 4, which should give him some confidence back. So solidly played from Voltarius overall.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, yeah, we didn't really highlight a couple of placements there for the 3rd and 4th, but I believe it was Voltarius in 4th, or actually, no, Voltarius in 3rd, and Lev D was 4th there from that last game. But Blademaster is still seemingly pretty good. See Pobe there actually eliminating AlphaGo with that Jinx Star Guardian spat there. A really great tech decision, I think, actually.
Yeah, and poor Jinx, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. You know, she's getting Infiltrator spats thrown on her, Blade Master spats. No one wants to prioritize Jinx items, which I think is correct. But people are making it work, and we see this last fight, despite Slooper understanding his win condition and getting the Urgot on the Teemo, it's just not enough, given that there's multiple carries on on KC Double's side. And KC Double bringing it home for France and EU. Really solid performance from the 16-year-old prodigy.
An interesting thing to think about is that if KC Double had gotten 2nd or 1st in game number 1, this would be over right now. KC Double just got back-to-back 1st places, is going to be on the top of the standings right now with 23 points, man. This is so insanely well played by Europe right now, being the top 2.
Yeah, and this next game is going to be super interesting, right? Because now there are 2 people who can potentially get it first. If there's only one person that can get it first, maybe what other people do in the lobby is they try to deny that person units, because all that matters is not allowing that person to hit their first place win condition. But at this point, there are 2 people. It's really, really hard to grief 2 people at once. So at this point, everyone else is kind of at the mercy of Lev D and KC Double.
Definitely, but we'll be moving into the next game soon. I will be stepping out, but I'll be back later. Primal, take it away with Doa. Hope you have a fun next game.
I'm sure we will. Doa, we always have fun casting TFT, don't we?
That's right, absolutely. We play a lot of games in the same lobbies. We discuss it a lot as well off of the outside of the league client, I suppose. But man, 3 games down. Who knows how many to go? But it's getting exciting now, right? Because at this point, we have 2 people who, with the first place, could win the whole thing. That would be KC Double 61, of course, and Lev D Trotsky, and that's 2 EU players. I guess if you're an EU fan, you're happy about that. As we go into game number 4, but that last game was crazy. Like, Big Bang is producing some of the most insane games I think I've ever seen in Galaxies. It's a lot to handle, but we're going back to a sense of semi-normalcy, Primal, with a Plunder Planet, it looks like.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we're not getting 3 galaxies in one, we're just getting 1 galaxy, which I guess is okay.
I guess so.
I guess if you insist, Riot. But yeah, I think in Plunder Planet, you're going to be forced to play more aggressively again, so you can generate as much gold as possible and not fall behind. So again, I'd like to see these players sort of adjust their playstyle. I don't think you can just hard force a comp on this Galaxy. I think it's much, much riskier, because if you're waiting on combining items or buying units, you're going to fall behind. So I think this is, again,
100%.
a Galaxy where flexibility is king.
Yeah, I agree completely. This is one of those Galaxies where, like, you can't do that lost streak style, because you're just not going to be able to keep up. Ooh, how about a Vayne out of the first one of the first orbs for Lev D Trotsky? That's, normally when you get the 3 cost, you're like, sweet, 3 gold. But that's one that I would consider keeping, and that's a good reason to. You found the Caitlyn too. Sniper buff online already.
It looks like you and Lev D are on the same page about that. He does have a glove, which is super good on Vayne, because you eventually want it to become a Last Whisper. And if you get 2 gloves, you can make Last Whisper in Infinity Edge. As you noted, though, she is a 3 cost, so she's a bit expensive to hold. If Lev D doesn't see good items here, like bows or swords, I do expect him to look to just sell the Vayne instead and pick up some 1 cost that he can 2-star, so he has a stronger early game board.
Yeah, might as well hold it. See if you get the items to support it, like you're saying. But I'm just wondering if we're going to see this all end right now. The pressure is on for Lev D and Double 61. And that, for Slooper to get second last game was so massive. Because with a first, he would have had enough points to be in contention to win the whole thing as well. But by getting second, he didn't get enough points because there's that drop-off, from first to second. So that's a little bit heartbreaking in that even if he does great this game, even if he gets first this game, he's still going to have to play at least another one if he wants to win it.
Mm-hmm. And that's sort of what I love about this format. It makes you sweat a little, right? So if you're Slooper, you're not just worried about your own play. You're worried about the play of the 2 guys who can win the game right now. So if I'm Slooper, I'm spam picking items on Carousel. I'm coordinating the whole lobby to deny and grief these other guys, because he knows his dream could end right now if Lev D or KC Double pop off.
Yeah, and that's definitely what we're going to start seeing. That's like a really good thing to bring up is that at this point, we're going to start to see players get targeted. The rest of the lobby is going to do everything they can to make sure that Double 61 and Lev D can't win it this time. They want their chance too. So that'll bring out some interesting stuff as well, I'm sure. I was surprised to see Battlecast do as well as it did, but when you hit that 8 Battlecast, that's just so strong.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is an interesting decision by Lev D to just level and play this board. I actually don't think this board is very strong. He has no 2-stars. He doesn't even have pairs to hit. I guess he figures, look, I don't have any pairs, so there's no point staying at 4 to hit anything. Let me just preserve HP as much as possible and ensure that I can at least kill a few units to generate gold from the plunder. But yeah, it's an interesting decision. I do think it's correct, but I think Lev D's in a kind of an awkward spot, and he's doing his best. But yeah, that's good. He won, so kudos to him.
Yeah, we take those for sure. I mean, just having the Vayne, I think, is what's kind of saving that early game. There's a Caitlyn too, so that is a really nice upgrade, actually. Yeah, throw that back in, and now that you've got a win, you've got a chance to stabilize. So what started out kind of rough, looking a little bit better for Lev D now. Going to move on to our winner from last game, winner of 2 games in a row. Remember, you need to get the win after you get 18 points. So the question is, can Double 61 do it this time?
Yeah, Double 61, you know.
16, yeah.
Absolutely insane, you know, at 16 or any age, I guess, for that matter. And he didn't actually have that dominant of a performance yesterday. I think he just sort of snuck in top 4 after having some pretty difficult games early. And, you know, I think you mentioned, you know, earlier yesterday that he is a player who is really clutch in tournaments, right? In the EU qualifier, he didn't have awesome games to start off, and then he came back and slammed the rest of the games to qualify. And here, you know, he just seems to get better over time. It might be due to the fact that he's sort of a researcher, right? He's someone who studies the game, studies other players, and just gets better over time. So that might be what we're seeing now. He just has a really good tournament late game.
Maybe kind of has to read the lobby a little bit. He did get better as the game went on yesterday as well, where he finished really strong with a 1 and a 2 that got him 2 today. So he does seem to kind of power up. He's kind of like a little bit of a Saiyan of the lobby, where, like, you know, you start out non-Super Saiyan, take some hits, eat a Senzu Bean or 2, and then, like, suddenly it's time to go Super Saiyan, and you got to power up. And that's going to take at least 3 episodes to power up completely. So that's the equivalent of, you know, maybe like 3 games of TFT. So it makes sense. He's like on Goku track for sure.
He is, but he's got to get the Kamehameha out this game, ideally.
That's right.
Because he doesn't have 5 episodes to power up, because Lev D. Trotsky is breathing down his shoulder. Right now, he is lose streaking, because his board is not the greatest board. Generally, Brawler starts are one of the weaker frontline starts, so it's to be expected. But he looks like he's actually setting up to potentially go Star Guardians, because he does have the Syndra pair, he does have a J4 already, and I think he had an Ionic Spark, which is not bad with a comp.
Yeah, I think he's just kind of looking for that second protector. And there's a Nico with a chain vest, so you can definitely use that if you can find it.
He can definitely use that.
He's going to try to get over to it. Oh,
I'm surprised people are not
steals it
pinging
away.
stuff on care. Yeah, sorry about that.
Does anyone
There you
listen
go.
if
Yep.
that actually happens, though? Yeah.
I think we both know the answers to that.
I think so.
So he did pick up the belt, so that's a really good protector item. I think he's got some direction now. He's going to hold on to those Syndras. The only issue for him right now is his economy is going to be pretty bad, and rightfully so. Right, he had to keep a board in play that would save him HP, but he also had to hold units for the future. So hopefully he's able to start hitting some of the units that'll help him win, because he's not going to be making much econ this turn. But he should be able to make that 10 gold threshold. He's going to swap out the Alawi because Jarvan's way better with Warmogs, and I think his early game is going to stabilize off of that Warmogs.
Right. It's looking a little bit better now. We're going to move over and check out Slooper here, who is also thinking a Star Guardian Sorks. And he's got that Hextech Gunblade, which is becoming a core item on Syndra. I think Blue Buff Hextech are kind of the 2 core items on Syndra, and then the third item is kind of up for grabs right now, it feels like.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. With the changes to Gunblade and also the changes to Syndra, her in combination with this item is just so potent. The change to Syndra a few patches ago was that she sort of doesn't overkill with her orbs, so she kills 1 unit with her orbs, the rest of the orbs go to another unit. And Gunblade, in conjunction with Blue Buff, means she gets so many shields. So sometimes you'll see a Blue Buff Syndra like kill an entire team of 2 stars just at 1 star. So once he gets a Blue Buff online, he's going to be in a great spot. The only thing I'd be worried about, though, if I were him, is getting good tank items on the Nico, because the Nico is just as, if not more important than the Syndra mid and late game.
Oh, yeah. Late game especially. I mean, the Nico is going to be really important, because that's going to be where a lot of your damage and crowd control comes from, too. But, you know, if you can just live long enough, if you can just, like, deal enough damage to get everybody low, then you get those great moments where Syndra, like, kills, like, 3 people at once, you know?
Mm-hmm. And it feels so good when that happens. It feels so good.
Definitely.
But right now...
60... Yeah. So 61 right now, going up against Slooper. And so it's a battle of the Star Guardians, but the itemization looking a little bit better on Double 61's side. But I feel like at some point you're going to want to try to pick up a Rakan, or maybe that Jin Zhao too, if you can find a complete one, and move those items over to the Nico, huh?
Yeah, you're totally right. I think generally, speaking, the way people play this comp is you have J4, assuming he hit 2, hold the items until you have a Nico 2. Because J4 is just as effective with these items early. You just really want it on an upgraded protector. And then once Nico 2 is there and you have Warmogs for her, she can solo frontline. Arguably, she can solo frontline now, but why sacrifice a J4 when he's already 2-starred? Right. So yeah, if I'm KC61, I'm feeling really nice about the spot I'm in. I feel good about my Nico items, and now I'm just focused on getting some backlines so that we can kill some things.
Yeah, well, that's a really good point, actually, and that's something to kind of keep in mind if you're a newer player, too, is that there's this temptation, right, to get your items on the carry as fast as possible, but sometimes it's better to just kind of wait, and, like, even though you've got the carry, you don't necessarily have the strength to make the transition. Going from a 2-star Jarvan to a 1-star Nico is kind of a downgrade if you don't have, like, another 2-star to shore things up a little bit.
Absolutely, and that was actually a really good Krugs round for Slooper, because not only did he get a GA, which is a solid use of Chain, he also got another Nico from the Orb, right? So he's only 1 Nico off of Nico 2, and if he manages to natural a Nico, that's a huge high roll that will basically secure him until he goes level 8.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to swap over to Volterix right now, who had such a dominant day yesterday, but just hasn't been able to produce those same results today, whether it's the stress or the rolls or the lobby. It's hard to say, because we know he's a great player, but maybe if the day goes long enough, he can, make something happen here. Going up against Zhuangzi, who's also had a rough day for sure, but manages to find a win there. And we are starting to see a little bit of a separation in the pack here, about 20 HP different between 4th place and 8th place, which, is a lot for round 3-1. Slooper suffering a little bit. We'll see if maybe he can catch it up again. Oh, wait, no, that's like 37 for Slooper. Oh, wait, no, it's a little bit blurry on my screen. Maybe it is 57. I can't read.
I can't read either, but somehow 2 illiterates got to cast today. But
hey,
Volterix,
as long as we can count up to 11, we're good.
Right? That's all you need. Look at the pretty pictures. But I wonder if Volterix is actually playing a little too flexibly here. This is now a 3rd or 4th game we've seen him run some sort of Rebel variant. And although I think it's fine to play this flexible style to top 4, Volterix needs to do better than top 4 if he's going to win this tournament. He actually needs 6 points to be put in the 18-point range, and then he needs a 1st place. So he needs to take a 3rd, and this comp is not great at doing that. So I think there's obviously something to be said for playing flexibly, but sometimes you just need to play a certain comp that's going to get you a higher placement. So I actually question the comp selection by Volterix, and I think he needs to play a little bit riskier considering that the whole game can end now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because when it comes down to it in this particular scenario, you really need to change the style that you're approaching the game based on the points in the lobby, which is interesting, because you get certain situations where it's like, okay, I know I need to play for a 1st now, I know I need to play for a top 4 now, but this is a situation where, you need to catch up in points big time, right? And so in order to really have a chance, you can't wait. Like, you can't just play consistently like we know Volterix is really good with, to get those top 4s and get those consistent 4s. He needs to actually get big points now to stay relevant, basically. And so we will see what he can do against his fellow Frenchman, Double 61. Double 61 has the Jarvan, and he's got just great Nico items on there. And as you can see, he's still just waiting for that Nico 2 to be able to make that swap from the Jarvan to the item as far as Nico's items go. But it's enough to take down Volterix, and he is going to continue to kind of struggle a little bit in the middle of the pack. As we see Slooper taking some damage, a little bit of last round scouting. And let's go ahead and take a look at Zhuangzi here. This is a player that was kind of puzzling, and I had mentioned earlier that I felt that overall Lobby 1 was stronger than Lobby 2. And while going into this game, we did have 2 players from Lobby 1 and 2 players from Lobby 2 in the top 4, so arguably that is even. If you go a little bit farther than that, it is lopsidedly in favor of Lobby 1 right now, and it would seem that the struggles that Zhuangzi and AlphaGo are having today might kind of indicate that. It sounds like you've got Primal back. You're back! Yay!
I'm back! Pleasures of remote casting, but yeah, to your point about Zhuangzi, he's been struggling today, That said, the position he is in looks a little bit more familiar. He's at 100 HP, hasn't dropped a single round, and he's playing something different. He's trying to play Cybers, which I love, considering his items. Cybers is an excellent comp that can definitely take a first. And when you're win streaking on Cybers and you already have the items you need, you're really loving that spot. That said, I would like to see him get 1, maybe 2 bows so he can get a Giant Slayer, because if you don't even have a single Giant Slayer with Cybers, you fall off hard when you start facing Nikos late game. But overall, I like that Zhuangzi is sort of mixing it up a little bit, showing his flexibility as a player, and trying to sort of play what he's given rather than what he'd prefer.
Yeah, we kind of need that from him, too. He didn't play any Cyber games yesterday. As you well know, he played 2 games of Mech, he played 3 games of Space Pirates. So I felt like we didn't really honestly get a very good look at his, level of play in general. And there's the first HP loss for him, suffering that against Shoemaker. But yeah, we know he's got to play more comps than just those. So Cybernetics, a good standard way to go.
Absolutely, and he is so rich right now, Doa. He's level 7, 69 a gold, and he is in a solid spot unit-wise. Again, the only issue is his items. I think he'll be okay if he gets an Infinity Edge in Last Whisper, but he won't be in like okay, this is a first place position. But so long as he's not super contested, we should expect him to hit his units with this much gold. I see there's already a Vein 2 in the lobby, but I think that's the only Vein 2 out there. So from a financial perspective, Zhuangzi he's doing awesome, but from an item perspective, especially since we see multiple players going Nico carry, he's going to need to do a little bit better.
Right. And I mean, you've got some time. We've talked before about how you can spend your hit points as resources as well if you need to kind of, wait, save up, wait for some items to drop off the next neutral round, that kind of thing. But he could also level very aggressively too. So I'm curious to see what stance he takes. Where does he want to just go ahead and hit a fast 8? I feel like that'd be pretty good. Finds the Aurelia, that's kind of nice as we go into the Infiltrator round.
Yeah, this is an interesting decision point to your question about whether he should fast 8. I suspect that his board is a little bit weak, and he might lose a lot of HP going into and waiting until 4-3. So it might not be the worst idea in the world to just roll a little bit of interest since he's so wealthy to preserve some HP for later in the game. But it sort of depends on what items he hits here. Looks like he hits 2 belts in a tier, which is not awesome. So yeah, he did not get the items he needs by a long shot. He actually has way better items for Star Guardians, so I'd like to see if he's open to pivoting, even though he already has the Last Whisper on him. But yeah, these are not the items you want to see if you're Zhuangzi. And he is choosing to just go 8, say, okay, I'm just going to go 8, get some natural rolls at level 8 to get good units, and we'll sort of sit until we can get good items off of carousels.
Yeah, I think you're kind of committed, too, with what we see in the rest of the lobby. I think we've got 2 different Star Guardians players already, so it'd be tough to make that transition, even if you saw a couple of the 1-stars in the shop right now, But when I look at these items, I kind of think to myself, yeah, you've got Thieves' Gloves for Aurelia, which is awesome, but you've got the ability to put Redemption on your Fiora or a different champion. You've got some of the good Cybernetics items, and by leveling, you have that higher chance of hitting the Echo, so it's awkward, and you can tell by the look on his face he's not happy, but if he can just hold on a little bit longer, I think he's got a chance of maybe bringing it back.
Agreed. When you're in this position where you've been win streaking, you have a lot of HP, you have a lot of money, it just requires discipline and an understanding that if the game goes long enough, you will get some lucky breaks, right? You'll find things like an Echo 2 eventually. You'll get good items off of the full item carousels. So although it's frustrating, he just needs to keep get the 1 to 2 extra damage items he needs on Vayne. And Aurelia with Thieves' Glove is an excellent carry in the meantime. So if he can hit Aurelia 2, she might be able to do the work that Vayne cannot.
Dude, right now, we're looking at KC61, and he is 2 Syndras away from finding that Syndra 3. And now Zlooper is looking at this board, and he's like, oh, so that's where all my Syndras went. 61 is taking them all. The rich get richer.
Right.
It's going to be tough to complete the Syndra 3, but just holding them from Zlooper is really strong.
It is. And at this point, KC 61 is a problem, Doa. He's in first place. He's win streaking, he's hitting his units, he's hitting his items, and this guy is about to end the tournament if people don't start paying attention, doing whatever they can to put a brakes on the KC 61 train. Oh,
All right.
no.
The rich just
Oh,
literally
no.
keep getting richer. Like, he finds the Janna. Do you pivot into 6 Star Guardians here? Do you give up a couple protectors?
I think at this point, might as well. Once you have the Janna, you pretty much immediately get stronger.
Right.
But I guess he's making the judgment call that he needs the front line more than he needs the back line. So I think that's a totally fine call as well. Also, sometimes if the call is borderline, it's he's on a 9-round win streak. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
And he has plenty of time to eventually get that Janna in once he takes the time to actually think about, hey, is this a stronger board or not? So it's a great question. I'm not sure the question of the answer, but he has the luxury of time and money and HP.
I think you're absolutely right. He has got nothing but luxury right now with all those resources, the HP, the gold, the champions that he's got on his belt already. And I think what you said that matters the most is if it's not broke, don't fix it. Because it kind of comes back to what I was talking about earlier. We're transitioning one item from, or transitioning items from one champion to another, making sure you're doing that at the right time. Transitioning your comps at the right time is another big part of it as well, of course, right? Where you have the ability to bring what you see as the final form of your comp online, but you need to make sure you do it in a way that doesn't make your board weaker than the existing one. And I think in this case he's saying, hey, I'm win streaking. What is he, like 10 in a row right now? So why swap? Why not wait to make changes until you need to? Oh my
exactly.
goodness.
And oh my
Syndra
god,
away.
Another
Whoa.
Syndra. Okay, this is a high roll. This is definitely a high roll game.
Yeah.
And he's got to be pretty happy right now. Yep, hitting the Nico too. And at this point, the only thing that's stopping him from just running away with his whole game is the fact that he doesn't have a mana generation item. So he's definitely going to look to take that on Carousel. I would like to see other players start to just straight up deny him. Because if they don't straight up deny him, he's going to deny them a world championship.
So I didn't actually see that he only had a Nico 1 still, and that makes a lot more sense. That's a much better reason than not transition when he did. But now that he's got this Nico 2, this comp should be very much online. And if he hits the Syndra 3, I think it's all over, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, not only is he sort of high rolling the units, other people are low rolling, right? We're seeing a Vayne here who doesn't have a Giant Slayer, so she can't cut through the Nico. I think when we looked at Zhuangzi, he also was far away from a Giant Slayer. So this is sort of a perfect storm that is starting to brew for Double 61. I'm not sure what it's going to take to stop him. No one scanning over the lobby looks strong enough to beat him right now. So this is getting pretty scary if you're anyone but Double, but really exciting if you're anyone from France, except Voltarius, I guess.
I actually think, in a way, it would be so poetically perfect for old school Star Guardian Sorcerer to win the set 3 championships, because that was one of the strong builds that came up early on in the set, nerfed into oblivion, and then for it to come back and win in the end just seems like a nice story arc for the Star Guardians, I think, in set 3, because if you look at the itemization as he plays against AlphaGo here, this is OG itemizations, right? The GA on the Nico, the GA on the Syndra. He's kind of bringing back some of the old things to make it happen, and another big win for him. Looking a bit unstoppable right now.
He's on a 12-round streak, man. Who's going to stop him? Who's going to stop him? He's going to get so much more gold now. He can just look to straight go 9 and look for a Janna 2 there. And then, honestly, it doesn't even matter what items he has if he's hitting everything. He could just choose to stay at 8 and roll for the Syndra because he's only 1 away to sort of dictate what decision he makes. He should scout around the lobby and see how many Syndras are gone. But him keeping the streak rolling into 4-7 is a huge deal because now he has the option to just go straight to 9 if he doesn't feel good about staying on 8.
Well, the luxury as well that he's got, yet another one, is that there's a couple other players in this lobby that are trying Star Guardians, at least one, if not one more than that. And if they're low enough, he can kind of just wait till that person gets kicked out and then try to find the Syndra, He's got the HP to do it.
Absolutely. He's got the HP to do pretty much whatever the hell he wants at this point. And at this point, I'm wondering who in the lobby can stop him. Maybe Zhuangzi. I mean, Zhuangzi stayed pretty stable in second place. I saw a Vayne with a Giant Slayer, so that's what you would need to take care of this Nico. Unfortunately, any Last Wishers are actually going to be pretty wasted here because Nico does not have any armor items. A Zephyr, though, that could make a difference. That's
that
big.
Nico being taken out. You cannot allow that to happen. He's got a position better than that in the future, playing against Zhuangzi, who's currently in second place. And one of the people that might be able to end this run, pretty big fizz ult, and oh my, yeah, I think he's got it. Oh, but the Syndra comes back from the GA. Nico there to do the damage, but this Aurelia is just too much, right? Yeah.
Now, I think the Nico can 1v2. I mean, at the end of the day, there's not any sort of big percentage health abilities to kill her, but I think unfortunately the lack of damage from the backline is going to mean that Nico goes down, and that shows you we found a chink in the armor, Doa. It's the lack of a Quicksilver sash on this Nico.
Yeah, so that's the thing, is now going forward he needs to be very aware of when he's going to be playing Zhuangzi to try to avoid that Zephyr, because I think undoubtedly if the Nico wouldn't have been Zephyred, that would have been a round that Double 61 would have won.
Mm-hmm. And if you're the rest of the lobby, you're breathing a sigh of relief, and you've probably also identified, okay, this is the one thing that he doesn't have besides a blue buff. He does not have any way to deal with Zephyr, and it looks like there are multiple players who do have Zephyrs. Unfortunately, Kobe, I guess, did not identify that he could Zephyr the Nico because he has the thresh with Zephyr, but on the backline. So I think pretty much any fight where you don't Zephyr the Nico is just going to be a 9-0, right? Like we see here, it's a pretty easy fight for Double 61, despite not having mana generation. And goodbye, Bobe.
Bobe is out. Shoemaker is out. AlphaGo dropped one round earlier. There's another Nico. Obviously, Nico 3 is big too. I'm trying to remember who the other Star Guardian player was, if it was Slooper or if it was Shoemaker. If it was Shoemaker, that's pretty big because that frees up some Nikos. We're looking at Voltairic's perspective as well as he scouts around a little bit, and I think I saw that was Slooper that had the Star Guardians. It was hard to see because it's kind of small, but it is Slooper. Okay, yeah. So if Slooper gets knocked out, then that kind of paves the way for Double 61 to get the Syndra 3, maybe even the Nico 3, and close out the lobby.
Mm-hmm. So this is interesting. Slooper actually has better items on his Syndra than Double has on his. So this is actually a matchup where just in the straight head-to-head, Slooper might be stronger, even though against the rest of the lobby, it might be that Double is stronger. So depending on RNG, and just as I say RNG, Double 61, Syndra just zeroes out the other Syndra. But depending on RNG, Slooper can win that matchup.
So think about this for a second, that actually, the fact that Slooper had better items, specifically a mana item on his Syndra, makes his comp worse in the 1v1. Because in the 1v1 between Star Guardian players, you want to be the Syndra that casts second, because you get more orbs, because the Syndras use the other Syndra's orbs when they ultimate. So because the mana item was on Slooper's side, his Syndra casted faster and got the weaker first ultimate, which ultimately, is going to make a big difference in terms of the damage the Syndras are doing throughout the fight. So, weirdly enough, better items is worse in the mirror matchup.
Yep. When that happens and you see your Syndra just dies, you just say, okay, well, player difference. You say that sarcastically and you just move on, because unfortunately by that point there's not much you can do. But look, there is the Syndra 3 in the contested matchup. So Double 61's got to be feeling really good. The only thing he needs to complete Exodia is to get a mana item on either the Syndra or Janna, and then he is going to be lit and looking at potentially being the first TFT World Champion. So really scary position if you're anyone else in the lobby.
Also got to shout out that Guardian Angel in that last fight too to bring the Syndra back, keep the ults going. But yeah, this Syndra 3 should be insanely scary for everybody else in the lobby. Also, the QSS on Janna means that she's going to be undisturbed while she gets that cast off. Voltairic's getting wrecked. Oh boy,
that was
Primal. Are we going to actually see it end here? We've
might
still got
be,
a lot of rounds to go, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's at 79 HP. The next closest guy is half his HP, not even. So at this point, now that he already has a Syndra 3, you can't even deny him by holding his units, right? Mm-hmm. He's looking to look for an Acel 2, which would make him extremely strong in the mirror matchup, because Acel 2 would straight drain all the mana from the enemy Star Guardians. So Double not only has the game in a really good spot right now, he's thinking about what are the ways I could actually lose the game and positioning for it. I'd like to see him pay a little bit more attention to the Zephyrs on the front line. There we go. He slams a Rakan in the middle. Really smart play, because generally people will try to Zephyr directly in the middle.
Yep, Zephyr on the Syndra, though, so his carry gets, or one of his carries anyway, gets Zephyr this time. Does it matter, though, because Nico does a lot of CC. Does it matter?
I think the answer is no.
Probably not.
You think probably not? Yeah, because here's the problem, right?
Yeah.
The Vayne doesn't seem to have the tools to kill anything. Oh, I'm wrong. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Dope.
So one of the really small things during that fight is the Vayne positioning versus the Janna positioning. There were a couple Janna ultimates that didn't hit the Vayne. And so because of that, Vayne got a lot of time free firing into the team, which I think kind of tipped the balance in the favor of the Cybernetics player. Kind of surprising to see, but we know Double 61 he's mortal, but is he beatable? That's the question.
Yeah, and part of it's going to rely on what items come up for Double 61. I do think if he has a mana item there, despite his Syndra getting Zephyred, the Syndra still cleans up. But the lack of the mana item plus the Zephyr, I think, bought just enough time for Zhuangzi to win. Conversely, though, if Zhuangzi can pick up some Giant Slayers so he can cut through the Nico a little bit more quickly, that could be a saving grace for him. So part of this is looking for the correct items on the carousel, or maybe someone got something from Kayn. And part of it's going to come down to Zephyrs. The thing is, though, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I don't think Double 61 is going to allow himself to get Zephyred like that again.
That's a Jinx 3, but he doesn't have enough gold, and he's on 13 HP. He might still die.
There it is.
Had to sell just to get it. 7 of 8, picks up a Jace just to fill the board, but is this Jinx 3 going to carry? Volterix has been relying on Rebels all day. It seems like kind of a comfort comp that he defaults to in a lot of games. At least he got an easy matchup this time around.
Yeah. And although generally Rebels is not viewed as one of the strongest comps, if you hit a Jinx 3, it kind of makes up for any, inadequacies that it has.
It does.
And if you hit an Asol 2, it's actually quite good versus Star Guardians, because the combination of the shield from Rebels, meaning that you don't get burst down as quickly, and the mana drain from the Asol means that he has the tools to actually deal with the Nico. In addition to all of that, he also has the Giant Slayer on the Jinx to deal with her.
Right, so Volterux lurking in 4th place with a chance to bring it back in a big way. We're going to check back in with Double 61 now to see if he can close out this game and be the TFT Galaxies Champion. He's got the tools. He's got a lot on his bench as well, too. He's kind of preparing to be able to make some late-game swaps depending on his opponent. Playing against Volterix. So here's the matchup that we were just talking about right now. Can this Asol do it?
Oh, that Jinx, man! She is... oh my god, she is hitting like a truck. The Jinx basically just one-shots the front line at this point. So Volterix, although he doesn't have that much HP, Double 61's life bar is decreasing pretty rapidly, and we just saw how someone can win this matchup against this super stacked team. But there's a Janna too. I think it'll make a difference, but not as much of a difference. Oh, Xerath too as well, as mana items would.
Pretty good. Yeah,
that's
so
pretty
he
good
finds
though.
The Janna 2 and the Xerath 2, yeah, those are two pretty large pickups here. But that Jinx 3 just does so much damage so fast, like you said. It's going to be close, but I'm not as confident as I was a moment ago. Trying to dodge those Zephyrs, he does do just that. No Zephyrs on this Ghost board anyway.
Yeah. And part of the problem for Double is, again, he doesn't have mana items, so he's casting a little bit more slowly than you would normally expect. Oh no, is that Zhuangzi taking out Volterius?
That would be crazy.
Volterius in the corner with the Jinx. Okay, the Jinx manages to carry him. Okay, I got a little scared there, because if Volterius ended up dying to Zhuangzi, it could have just been that the game ends, because I'm not sure that Zhuangzi can take out Double. So I think right now, if you want this tournament to keep going forward, the protagonist is Volterius.
Pretty much. Like, he's bringing it back. He's the anime protagonist of this particular lobby, And the thing is like, Volterix, if he takes down Double 61, yeah, sure, he keeps the game going for himself, but it's kind of a betrayal of the EU region in general, isn't it?
I think it is, but at this point, all national affiliations drop off, and it's like, hey, I'm about to be the first TFT World Champion. So I think right now everyone's just focused on how do I beat the guy in front of me and keep my tournament dream alive. Of course, Double holding on to Deal Life. He's finally hit a mana item, so he does have a Shojins on Syndra. It's not ideal. You want a blue buff, but it's still a fantastic item to put on her. I'm surprised that he put it on her instead of the Janna, but I think it's still really good. Oh, and the really good Zephyr Cheese by Zhuangzi. Really
Man,
good.
I mean, that's what he wanted, right? So can the Syndra cast, can the Echo finish it off? I think the Janna's already down. Zephyr getting a couple shots off, but not a lot. This is going to be close. Oh, the Lulu ult. The Lulu ult maybe did it.
Oh, the Lulu ult keeps him in there. And despite the Zephyr Cheese.
Oh my goodness.
Double.
He did it. Double 61. TFT Galaxies Champion. 16 years old. Getting it done all the way through all the qualifiers. I am amazed. What a great level of play we saw all day. Getting it done with our favorite build, I would say, Star Guardians. You wrote one of the original guides. I've played a ton of it too. It's my favorite, and it ends up the comp that wins it all. Double 61. Your Teamfight Tactics Galaxies Champion. How about that?
Absolutely incredible from Double 61. I'm so impressed by how this guy continues to evolve over the course of a tournament. He's refining his play, researching his opponents, gets better and better. And if we talk about Faker of TFT, Faker won his first world title at, 15, 16, Double 16. Yeah. So this might be the start of a legacy for this player.
Could be. I mean, either way, he has got a lot of years remaining in his esports career if he decides to go down that path. And with a start like this, how could you not? We're going to say goodbye to you, Primal, because I've got to send it over to Mort for some analysis. Can't wait to see what he's got to say about these games. See you later.
Thanks, Noah. Yeah, I just really want to talk about that final game and Casey's win here and the Star Guardian comp. So we'll start off at the beginning and how well he was playing it, being flexible into his options. He knew what he was going for here. He was going for that first place Star Guardian comp that everyone perceives as strong. He used the Jarvan correctly as a strong front line. And you can see here at 3-6, he's already on a 6-game win streak. And this is paying off big for him because he's getting tons of gold from Plunder Planet. He's going to keep the win streak going into a PvE round. And this is going to give him so much economy that he's going to be able to take this and flex into a bunch of things he might not have been able to on, say, a normal Galaxy or without that much gold, including like the 3-star Syndra that was key. And so what we see here at 4-5 is when he finally hits the pieces he's looking for, how quickly he transitions into it. Because again, he knew exactly what he wanted. As soon as he hit that Nico 3, we see just the skill at how fastly he changes this into the 6-star Guardian comp. And again, he knew his win condition here. He needed to win the game to win the tournament. And he had that comp in mind. He knew what he was doing, ready to transition, and we see it with such speed. I also wanted to call out this fight of Syndra versus Syndra, where a lot of people talk about RNG, and I heard the casters talk about how, the other Syndra had better items. But in this matchup, I think the Gunblade is actually very bad here. It keeps the other Syndra at full health. So that means with the Syndra's always targeting the thing with the most health. As soon as this Syndra comes back from GA, one-shots the enemy Syndra and allows him to win this fight. So that GA was a really key itemization here. And then, again, I just want to highlight Casey's skill here. Look how fast he rolls down. A boomer like me, no way I could do this. He just rolls down so fast, knows exactly what he's looking for, and this just shows some of the skill he is and how quickly he goes, okay, 2 Lulus, bam, sell, buy, I'm in there. Again, really just showing why he is the best player right now. And then the last thing I have to call out here is, again, the win condition here was to keep KC out from winning, and they let him have the Shojin. Why would you let him have the Shojin on that Syndra? That could have been the difference. You've got to deny that Shojin. I can't believe that. So anyway, that's going to do it for me. Thank you for everybody, and congrats again to KC Double. Back to you guys.
Thank you so much, Mort, for your insight today. Thank you, Whitrock, for the insight yesterday. And we will be hearing from Giovanni tomorrow ahead of Fades. But We have a champion on our hands, everybody. 3 straight wins for KC Double 61, reigning from Europe to be the first official here in the Galaxy Championship. I'm going to start off over with Crowan there. I know you're watching on the sideline alongside me. What are your initial thoughts on him being able to have such a consistent performance here today?
What else is there to say besides KC Double 61 is the best TFT player in the world, winning 3 games in a row in the finals.
3 in a row to take it, and he did end up bringing a different comp to the table here too. There it is on your screen, the winning champion of it all. Whew. I know I'm still taking a little bit of a breather off that Doa. I'm sure you are as well. A lot of excitement in the final moments.
Oh, I'm hyped. Like, no mech in that last one, but Star Guardian Sorcerer is all you need to take home $40,000, which is exactly what KC Double just did. France was popping off on Twitter. All the other French players, they've got a great, huge community of a lot of really talented TFT gamers over there. I'm sure they're psyched to see their countrymen take home the championship. And he did it. He did it in style. He played great. He won 3 in a row to do this. How crazy is that?
Absolutely crazy, especially considering the start to it all. With the prizing, you just saw who were taking the largest slices from today's finalists, but don't worry, for those that competed yesterday and weren't quite able to make it, they also go home with something in their pocket. And Becca, as Doa just said, it's so difficult to be able to take a win in all 3 of those. When you're trying to handle the pressure in that scenario, especially we're looking at the future of KC Double 61's career, what is that like when really trying to secure the win in that position? Somebody else also trying to do the same, as Lev D was also with above 18 points.
I gotta say too, I just noticed someone just let me know. Sorry, Becca. Someone just let me know that Champion du Monde is trending on French Twitter right now. So everybody pretty psyched about that. That means Champion of the World, by the way. I don't speak French, but I know that much at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think he just played like he had nothing to lose. He saw he was contested. He didn't care. And I think in a lot of his wins, he plays a lot of the mana comps. So like him and Teemo 3 seem to have like an affinity for each other. So I mean, he just killed it. Yeah. And what does a 16-year-old do with $40,000?
Save for the future. and buy a couple little Legends eggs, you know.
Yeah, buy some eggs, I guess. I think you got like 10 little Legend eggs anyway.
Yeah, there you go.
Congrats to him.
Whenever people wonder what people should use with their prize pools, I feel like you're always wanting some kind of exciting answer, but in the end, it's just like, saving it is probably the best thing to do. And in that last game, I mean, KC Double ended up having a strong performance throughout, but as you all said, he was contested for that composition. Doa, do you think at any point that he had a worry, because his streak did get a little wavery there towards the end?
You know, he lost a couple rounds here and there, but I don't think he had a whole lot to worry about. He found everything he needed really fast. I mean, the only thing that was really holding him back is something that Mort pointed out, which was no mana item on the Syndra. And so it was kind of crazy that they let him have the Spear of Shojin at the end. I know the other 2 players, you know, they're thinking about their own comps. They're thinking about what do I need to win. But you got to kind of flip that too and think about, is there anything I can deny to keep him from winning? And so maybe sealing that Shojin would have been enough. Tough to say, but it certainly would have helped.
A very strong performance from him here today and everybody that came to the table. The thing is, this is the first championship for TFT, being the Galaxy Championship, which is kind of setting the stage for what we can expect in future composition. Crowan, having someone like a young talent come through and be able to grab that winning title, along with those others that are able to put their regions on the map, what do you think this means for where we go from here, especially with a new set on the horizon?
I mean, personally, you know, being a competitor myself, I'm just so excited for what's in store for the future of TFT esports. This is a great event, and having a world champion with someone like Double 61, who's so young, it shows so much promise for, you know, younger players as well, because you sort of, you know, meme sometimes that TFT is, you know, it's a bit more appealing to players of older age, but, you know, younger competitors still got it, still the best in the world, so excited for what the future holds.
It ain't a boomer game. Zoomers are welcome here too. And
True.
We're talking about what's on the horizon. And the thing is, as far as the event in total, this isn't the end of what we have in store for TFT, being that tomorrow we have the Fates Showcase. Looking forward to that a bit. Becca, I know that you mentioned it's kind of difficult balancing staying engaged with Galaxy when we're also looking forward to that. What are you looking forward to most when you're joining the broadcast tomorrow?
I think that the players will not have played much set 4, even though it's been out for a few days, because they've probably been focusing on set 3. So I'm excited to see them just really scramble together comps, because there's a lot of new things and a lot of different mechanics. So that's what I'm looking forward to for tomorrow.
I think that's probably one of the most exciting things about the showcase is everyone kind of coming in on that same page of unknowing. But we as an audience have gotten to see the players in action today, as it is the same 8 that will be competing tomorrow. Doa, we obviously know that KC Double is going to be coming in strong. If you had to pick out players that you expect to bring that experimentation right off the bat, maybe that unconventional approach to a new set, who do you think it's going to be?
I think I would look at players like Shoemaker. He played a lot of different stuff. He seemed to be good at pivoting, at making decisions on the fly. Bobe brought out some really unique stuff as well. All these players are obviously good, and it's a brand new set, so there's going to be a lot of experimentation. I've probably played more games of set 4 than they have, so they're just lucky that I'm not in that lobby, because I would crush them. But I'm going to enjoy watching them playing as well, you know. Gotta be fair.
That's why we made sure to end up securing you on the casting desk so that you can't go and blow them out of the water. But it's
so
great to have you all here. Yes, it's such a wonderful past 2 days, right? And lots to come. Quick words from Crowan. Anything that you'd like to say to the TFT audience?
Oh man, TFT audience, just, thank you all for watching and supporting. This is huge. Going back to just TFT esports, I've been a competitor of esports for so many years, and it's just great being able to be here, part of the casting team and sort of telling that narrative and telling that story to you also. Just thanks for the opportunity. Glad to be here.
Yeah, and Becca, I know you said you're warming up to casting as well, getting to do that frequently here today in some of the qualifiers. What was this like for you, getting to be in the spectator seat more?
It's actually really nerve-wracking having to think of or verbalize everything I'm thinking on the fly, but it was definitely a great experience, and I'm glad so many of you guys were patient with us, like everyone who's new to casting. And it's really awesome that someone so young won TFT, because you think of TFT and you think of like maybe an older generation, maybe like a little slower, but I'm glad.
You just need a big brain.
Yeah, younger people are playing, and it makes me hopeful for the game.
We saw some moments, Ach in particular, in the first lobby yesterday doing some quick click-ins. So I don't know about that slow business. Some pretty fast moves being made here. Doa, it looks like, I know a lot of chat were mentioning Warhammer being set up in the back, but I'm sure it's going to be Fates that you end up playing after this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That side right over there.
If I can get my wife to play a game with me, then yeah, we'll be. Otherwise, it's just kind of a office ornament right now. But but it's, man, what a great weekend. And like you said, we're not done yet, right? Because we've got the Set 4 showcase tomorrow. That's going to be fantastic. But just a huge shout out to all the TFT fans for supporting all the different tournaments throughout the year. We had Giant Slayer running a whole bunch of those. At TLC9 ran tournaments. A lot of great organizations. Fandom all the way last year, and Set 2 already running tournaments. And so it really is like, the fans and the TOs and the players building this scene from the ground up, and it's cool to see it come to this point. And we're not done yet at all. Set 4 tomorrow.
Yep. Congratulations to everybody that has been involved. Doa, Crowan, and Becken will be joining you again tomorrow alongside Ovely. But for me, that does it for our festivities. It has been a wonderful time. So until next time, friends, good morning, afternoon, evening, and good night.